awesome high. You're smoking some of the best dope God ever put around here.
JustinFREAKIN is a formidable voice in the culture.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories.
Shut up, Lester.
You live in sexual anarchy.
This is the Control live with JustinFREAKIN.
I got no idea what's going to happen tonight. This is what time we used to come on. We used to come on at 8 o'clock Eastern time. We got news. We got more Blanche testimony today. Apparently an Epstein survivor took him to task. Scott Bessent says he's going to drop a bombshell on us about the failed assassination attempt, which is Need a little more clarification. Which one are you talking about? I'm not sure. This could be the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooter, and the rescheduled dinner is coming up here in a few days, so I guess we'll be watching that. Trump's teleprompter operator was apparently making a lot of money off of Trump speeches. Because why the fuck not? Why the fuck not? Nothing matters anymore. A court appointed a prosecutor in Seattle. The Trump administration immediately fired him. Nothing matters anymore. Nothing matters anymore. What's going on with Ukraine's government? We're here to talk about daylight savings time. And I'm gonna make the impassioned plea to you of why it should be permanent daylight savings time. I think it should be permanent daylight savings time. That's just my personal preference. It's okay if you have an opinion. It's okay if you're wrong, you know? You want permanent standard time, or if you want to keep this going back and forth bullshit. It's okay to be wrong. It should be permanent daylight savings time. Daylight savings time, of course, is the time we're in right now, where it gets darker later. I do not understand why in the fall it's already getting darker earlier. It's already doing. Why do you jump ahead an hour? And why do we not do it before Halloween if we're gonna do it? Like, that's the thing that boggles my mind. If you're gonna jump ahead an hour, do it before Halloween so the kids are trick-or-treating in the goddamn dark. You want to keep it light longer for the kids? Fuck that. Kids need some danger. It builds character. I trick-or-treated in the dark. Now I'm starting to sound like an old man. Warlord is for back and forth. You think it conserves electricity? I don't think so. Is that a thing? What? No longer keeping it like this, daylight savings time, in December, January, you would have more daylight of an afternoon. And that would cure depression, right? That would make everybody less depressed. You're in Britain. You're depressed like no matter what. Because you're British. I used to walk 7 miles. My grandfather used to tell me he would carry a battery uphill. Why were you carrying batteries uphill? I'm sick of the changing. I don't want to change the clocks anymore. I think it's an undue burden on us. Change it, which I mean most clocks are digital now, but you still got to change certain things, like your microwave, maybe your coffee pot clock, or if you got a cuckoo clock. Does anybody own a cuckoo clock? Warlord totally has a cuckoo clock. This motherfucker, you totally have a cuckoo clock, don't you? Now, clinically. Don't tell me nope. I know you're lying. Now, where do we even fucking start tonight? Let's go. Let's go with this Todd Blanche clip here. He still in his confirmation hearing. This is one of the Epstein survivors giving emotional testimony to the Judiciary Committee. It is the top of the hour, so about 53 minutes clinically.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank you and the committee.
Microphone.
Push the red button.
There we go. Thank you. First, I'd like to thank you all, and thank you to the committee for hearing survivor voices.
Go wash your balls clinically.
I'd like to remind you of
Plenty, welcome in.
today. At this time, can my survivor sisters and family please rise? We may look like grown adults when you see us now, but we were children. Young girls at the time of our abuse. These are the photos of when our innocence, dreams, and lives were stolen. Please take these faces in as you think of us as your own family, daughters, nieces, sisters. Now look at our faces and remember the women and families of who the DOJ re-victimized. You guys can sit. Thank you so much. I'm a teacher. In my school, if a student released a nude photo depicting a peer's sexual assault and abuse, they would almost certainly face expulsion. And yet, this is what our Department of Justice did to crime victims. Today, Todd Blanche has been at the helm of the release of nude images of survivors, the outing of Jane Does, and the exposure of more than 100 victims identifying information and documents describing horrific acts of abuse, including my own. Instead of treating this release as its own violation and holding the man who led it accountable, you have a decision on whether you place him in the highest law enforcement position in this country.
Does Grassley even know where he's at right now? Durbin looks absolutely disgusted. And I don't know if that's because he's thinking about something else or if he's actually disgusted by, the treatment of the victims by the DOJ. Grassley, is there a soul in there? Can anyone tell me? His beady little eyes.
In December, before the document release, our attorneys submitted 350 victims' names to the Department of Justice as victims' names to be redacted prior to the release. In that first release, I found my name in 2 places. In that next release in January, my name appeared again, but this time the redactions were so far worse. The files displayed not only my name, but my phone number, my former addresses, where I worked, and other identifying information. When my name appeared in the 3rd file release, it became difficult to believe that this was not intentional. Despite my lawyer repeatedly contacting the DOJ, seeking protection, my information continued to be exposed. And it's not just my name, it's the identifying information. These documents contain disturbing yet incomplete accounts of my abuse. They were available not only for the entire world to see, but my child, my students, my friends, my employers, my colleagues, and my family. It was humiliating.
Motherfucking Kennedy over there. Is he on his phone? Is he reading a book? Holly over in the corner. Not even paying attention. I'm going to point out Tom Tillis here. He is on his way out, and he raised some hell today. I don't know if we're gonna get to everything, but he is actually trying to do some good on his way out of the Senate, and I appreciate the hell out of him for it. But look at Kennedy and look at Holly, those 2 absolute pieces of shit. And remember that when Holly plays victim later on. I'm going to play you a clip that's going to disgust you.
Worse, my FBI 302 exposed a Jane Doe who had fought for decades to conceal her identity. It's been absolutely devastating. Outing survivors causes real and irrevocable harm. While coping with our emotional distress and psychological trauma, we also have lost our privacy and confidentiality, suffered reputational harm, lost jobs, and now fear for our personal safety. We are not activists. We are crime victims. For us, this has never been about politics. It has been about getting justice for the crimes committed against us. And the redactions are not the only problem with Todd Blanche's nomination. Todd Blanche has never attempted to listen to us, the crime victims. Survivors in this room repeatedly asked to meet with Todd Blanche through multiple channels. He never responded. Yesterday, he said he would meet with us, with our attorneys, if they were present. But let's be clear, that was the first time that was ever communicated to us before yesterday. He simply ignored us for the last 8 months. He has been radio silent, and the silence was deafening. Crime victims deserve better from the nation's highest level of law enforcement officials. We deserve to be heard directly, not dismissed and ignored. There are numerous investigative leads that must be followed, despite Mr. Blanche's claim that there are none. Epstein and Maxwell did not abuse women and children alone. They did not build their operation alone. Others enabled these crimes, exploited victims, and avoided accountability for decades.
And one of them's the president.
You do not have to take my word for it. Several weeks ago, after examining the evidence, Chairman James Comer directed Todd Blanche to open investigations into 2 men connected to Epstein. The Epstein files are not merely a collection of embarrassing names and politically damaging associations. They are records connected to the sexual exploitation and trafficking of girls and young women. They contain information about how Epstein's network worked, who assisted him, and whether additional crimes can still be investigated. The Department of Justice should pursue every credible lead, not just work tirelessly, not just to shut down the investigations. The survivors in this room know there are investigative leads because they are our stories. Mr. Blanche knows it too, yet he has chosen not to pursue them. Mr. Blanche's actions have destroyed survivors' trust. According to public reporting, Mr. Blanche spent approximately 9 hours meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell. He did not even spend 9 minutes meeting with the survivor. Afterward, Maxwell was transferred to what many have described as a summer camp prison. We learned all of this through the news. Imagine what that feels like as a survivor to sit there if you were exploited by Ghislaine Maxwell and you're hearing this for the first time with no explanation, no outreach, and no transparency from your... And to add insult to injury, the information that Todd Blanche gathered in the White House Situation Room last summer to curb the political fallout from the Epstein files was absolutely abhorrent. Instead of following investigative leads, our government treated and continued to treat this as a political crisis that needs to be managed. In our nation, everyone deserves equal protection under the law. Todd Blanche has been unwilling to protect Epstein survivors' personal information, and he has been resistant to investigate the people who helped Epstein and Maxwell commit those crimes. We need an attorney general committed to ensuring that everyone who facilitated Epstein's crimes is held accountable. Please, I implore you, please, think carefully and think about the girls in these photos. Thank you.
Really looked like Grassley was thinking on it, didn't it? Big Ben, gender fluid, welcome in. The Orange Man is speaking in about 45 minutes. Coming at you at the top of the hour, so pull up a chair. Who knows how this night is going to go? Speaking of Trump speeches, Trump's teleprompter operator. Trump's teleprompter operator. Ginger fluid, I just smoked like multiple bongs with Curiouser right before I came on. I am blistered right now. It's been dead. People, welcome in. Griggs, good evening. I've thought this moment was coming multiple times. And I've been wrong. Is this the Reichstag moment? Is this the crossing the Rubicon, whatever analogous situation you want to use? I don't know. again, the more I think about it, he can't do anything. He can say all he wants to tonight. You gotta go through a court, and the courts have routinely smacked his ass down. Now, that's notwithstanding the pussyfooting that the Supreme Court has done. You know, I was wondering if C-SPAN was on. Let me see if Washington Journal's on right now. I believe they are on. You want to do, let's do C-SPAN. I believe we got Washington Journal going here.
Joe Biden won the popular vote by slightly less than he was expected to in the polls. President Trump was, at the time, a fairly unpopular president whose handling of a pandemic had also been very unpopular. The battleground state results were also, broadly speaking, in line with the polling. There was nothing that was shocking about any of this. And in fact, 6 years on, we are still discussing this, almost accepting the premise that there was something sinister that occurred.
This discussion makes its way to Capitol Hill today ahead of the president's address tonight. This is House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries being asked about it at his press conference today.
In advance of Donald Trump's speech, let me also be clear about one thing. Donald Trump lost the 2020 presidential election. Something's really wrong with this guy.
There is definitely something really wrong with him.
Why does he continue to focus?
I haven't seen them put the phone number up for calls yet.
Related to a 2020 presidential
We'll see if we're banned.
That every rational person in the United States of America knows he lost. And yet...
Are you talking about John People?
Driving down the
John McCardle, the C-SPAN host?
Where hard-working American taxpayers are suffocating from the affordability crisis, Donald Trump continues to peddle election conspiracy theories. House Democrats are committed to making sure that we have a free and fair election in November. And when that occurs, we're confident that we're going to take back control of the United States House of Representatives.
Congressman Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries sucks so bad. I do not like him.
Rebuttals that were happening on Capitol Hill today, and as we hear from you ahead of the president's speech, and that's happening in just about 40 minutes.
Oh, they are taking calls. Let's see what we got here.
And Sharon is in Buffalo, New York. Democrat Sharon, go ahead. What are you expecting from the president tonight?
I'm expecting to listen to a great message by him. You know, as a Democrat, you know, I'm disgusted with these fellow Democrats, you know, Jeffries. There's so many of them. I don't know what's going on with this Democratic Party, but they have so far left. I'm not seeing what's really going on.
Sharon, are you a Democrat who voted for Kamala Harris in 2024?
No, I didn't.
Did you vote for Donald Trump?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you're not a Democrat.
In 2020?
Yes, I did.
You're not a Democrat.
In 2016?
Yes, I did.
You're not.
I guess I'd ask, what makes you a Democrat right now? What are the beliefs that you believe in?
Absolutely nothing now. So now I'm changing my party.
Gotcha.
There's absolutely nothing. The Democratic Party today is not the Democratic Party I grew up with.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to hold this phone line for Democrats to call in just to try to make
John, shut her down.
For Republicans, Democrats, and all others to call. On that others line is Matthew in Rochester, New Hampshire. Matthew, go ahead.
Hello. I am looking at this speech tonight. I'm looking at it as a way that I think Trump is going to try and peddle more.
I probably missed the window
The
there.
fact that there's been zero evidence of any sort of election fraud, and I think that he is in some way sociopathic or something in a way that we need to
Seriously
get checked out and have some bipartisan testing or something to in some way figure out if we need to enact some sort of 25th Amendment or something like that.
That's Matthew in Rochester, New Hampshire.
There's no way of
And
doing
on the
a
Republican
Fifth
line,
Amendment.
Paul, South Carolina. Paul, go ahead.
Yes, I want to first of all thank President Trump for what he's done for this country so far. I voted for him all 3 elections. I thank the Lord above every day that I moved from a blue state, namely Connecticut, to a nice, wonderful red state of South Carolina. I expect him to release information that everybody has not heard of yet, from what I'm understanding, that hopefully there'll be some convictions. I would love to hear him after his speech say, at the conclusion of my speech, we are subpoenaing those and sending them to court to really start some convictions. I think I speak for a lot of Republicans and conservatives in this country. We need more convictions of higher level government people. We're just getting tired of all the stories with the fraud.
Yeah, like the pedophile president.
I'm looking forward to see.
On that point, Paul, Niall Stanage, some reports
convict the
today,
president.
The CIA director will be joining President Trump tonight. His director of national intelligence, Bill Pulte, Kash Patel, FBI director, his Homeland Security.
Oh, it's an all-star cast, guys.
Again, we'll know for sure when the camera turns on in the White House. But if that reporting is correct, what does that tell you to what Paul is talking about here on legal cases following whatever the president brings up tonight?
So I think the presence of those people, if that is what transpires, is obviously intended to give extra gravitas to this moment. Now, critics of the president would argue these people are selected because of their loyalty to him. And therefore, not only Democrats, but other critics of Mr. Trump will, I think, feel dubious about exactly how much gravitas they bring to bear. But I did want to get back to Paul.
Yeah, Kash Patel isn't very impressive.
One other element of it, which was at the White House briefing today. I wasn't there personally. I was interested.
You guys want to see him in a thong?
CNN asked Caroline Leavitt, will there be charges?
A thongatard or whatever that was?
Said tonight. Caroline, I think it is fair to say, gave a very non-committal answer to that.
She said she doesn't speak for the Justice Department.
That's right.
She speaks for the president, and that's a Justice Department decision.
Exactly. But I think this points to the fact that even people skeptical of whatever claims we might hear tonight want to see, are there going to be charges or accusations that are tested in a court of law, or are they simply going to be asserted in a presidential address almost as a messaging or political move?
On the 2020 election, the election played out yesterday on Capitol Hill with the hearing of Jay Clayton, the president's nominee to be the next director of national intelligence, on who won the 2020 election.
I do have the other and Democrat phone lines up.
Who won the 2020 election?
I don't want to get shut down by John.
Do this with you.
This is a job interview. We've established that you have an obligation to be honest and forthright with the committee. Yes, you do have an obligation to be honest and forthright.
Did we watch this last night?
Who won the 2020 election?
Like I said, I'm not going to get into that with you.
But you do have an obligation to be honest and forthright with the committee.
Is anything that I just said not honest or forthright?
Yes, you're not being honest or forthright. Who won the 2020 election?
I think I've answered the question. We can keep doing this.
Well, we're going to keep doing it because you're not being honest and forthright.
No, I'm not going to engage in the theater.
It's a simple question, Mr. Clayton.
And I've answered
Who won the 2020 presidential election?
I've answered it.
You're here asking for the support of senators to lead America's intelligence community. We've established that you have an obligation to be honest and forthright with this committee and with the American public, but you refuse to answer a simple matter of fact about the 2020 election. Is that right?
No, that's not right.
Then answer the question. Who won the 2020 election?
I have answered the question.
Answer it. What is your answer?
I've given you my answer.
What is your answer? Refuse to answer a basic question about who won a presidential election, but you asked to lead America's intelligence community? Isn't it humiliating to be unable to answer this question? to have to indulge the president's delusions? We know, you know, everybody in this room knows the truthful answer to that question. Why can you not give it?
I think I gave you the answer.
Now, Stanage, what did you make of that exchange?
T-minus, I tell you good evening.
That have happened.
On your way to Phoenix, there's a Isaac Hayes song. I mean,
look,
it is not originally an Isaac Hayes song, but my favorite version is Isaac Hayes.
It has become
called By the Time I Get to Phoenix. I highly recommend it.
Democratic position to say that Joe Biden won the 2020 election.
Put it on as you're outside of town.
Overwhelming that Joe Biden won the 2020 election. And when President Trump and his allies have sought to make arguments to the contrary, those arguments have been rejected in courts repeatedly 6 years ago. Where we are now is people like Mr. Clayton, who is obviously nominated by the president, plainly wants to keep in his good graces.
Clinically washed his ass. I washed my ass today. Make sure everybody
his good graces while
washes their ass.
Joe Biden won the 2020 election. And so you end up with, frankly, rather toe-curling moments like that, in my opinion.
We'll find out what the president has to say, what evidence he says he has found. In about 30 minutes, the address is officially set to begin at 9:01 and 30 seconds. So we will be there on C-SPAN when it does happen, taking your calls from now until then, and we'll also take some of your calls after the address.
Then he used a pressure washer.
Has to say. Nicholas is.
Sometimes you got to get the job done.
Nicholas, what are you expecting?
On the Democratic line. We'll go with the Democratic line.
Yes, I'm calling from California, and I'm a Democrat. I have been my whole life, but I'm interested to hear what the president has to say. In fact, it bothers me that ABC and NBC are censoring it. I'm voting for Steve Hilton because Gavin Newsom has ruined our state. And
another one, not a Democrat.
To hear what he has to say, I thought Spencer.
This is coordinated, isn't it?
And all of a sudden, this woman nobody's heard of comes up.
That's Nicholas in California. Ray is in Bowling Green, Ohio.
I probably missed my opportunity.
Ray, what are you expecting?
Well, thank you very much. Well, for us to think that it's not possible that it did happen one way or the other, I think is blind. There's so many lies. We're in a state of division, and your guest there talked about the theater. The theater that the country is in is one of the strongest division times that I can remember in my lifetime. And I'm over 70 years old. Whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, black, white, or whatever.
So you lived through civil rights, you asshole.
He can make a point and remove some doubt as to what he's been saying or what others have been saying, whatever each network has been saying. I think it would benefit us. So it's worthy of the time. What is it going to take to bring us together? We seem to be so divided. Does it take another 9/11? If in my memory, the last time that we were together as a country is when something tragic happened. Let's pray to God that we can get through this time it seems like we're in a history of lies. And if there's some way that we can get some black, white, Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever, some way we could get together, we could solve just about every issue we have.
That's Ray.
Brother, let me explain to you what leftism is.
And
we have.
That's Ray.
So Ray's point is an interesting one because nobody seriously contests that we are very, very divided. The idea, though, that there is some common sense position on which everyone agrees that we just magically haven't found, that's obviously not true. I mean, we could go down
obviously not true
issues, including the 2020 election, but also a whole host of social issues where people of good faith have completely different views on that. So this idea that it is only the media...
Not today, CIA.
Or only politicians who are keeping us divided That's just not.
Think we just fell out of a coconut tree?
Rambunctious country of 340 million people or so who have massively differing views. It may be the case that those differences are exacerbated by things.
It was a minor F, yes.
But I would also contend that they are exacerbated by inflammatory rhetoric from President Trump and others. I suspect we may see some of that inflammatory rhetoric tonight. That is not to say he is the only person who engages in such rhetoric. He obviously is not. There is a broader problem about a political culture that often incentivizes extreme voices, I would say.
I love it too, Cricks. That's why I couldn't retire that.
Some unified political idea that we're all going to come together on is a fiction, unfortunately.
Was the 200
Check out the lips on Boebert.
anniversary of this country
I mean, why is everybody so
supposed to
horny
be that? Did you see a coming together? That caller, not the only caller.
She blows you a kiss.
To this network and said the last time this country was together was in the wake of 9/11.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that the 9/11 terrible example.
Yeah, I feel like the dude was advocating that we get hit with a terrorist attack. He was longing for the days. And I lived through 9/11. It was a very partisan time. It was a lot of fear-mongering. And no, we shouldn't go back to that time.
President Trump himself, you know, you had the UFC fight at the White House on his birthday. You obviously have him, you know, wanting his face on coins, on passports and things of that nature. Now, people who like him will be thrilled with that, presumably, but people who don't aren't at all happy about it. And
that's some real dictator shit.
Of any president with the identity of the nation. That's always going to be divisive because in a robust democracy, there are always going to be a significant number of people who don't like the president.
What did you think of his speech that night on July 4th? The theme of the American flag and the various...
I think it would have been a hell of a lot more
on stage
dictatory had he got his full 2 hours.
There is obviously... there are elements of the narrative of America that can be utilized to bring people together. The story of America is an epic story.
Yeah, I think he had to cut it down to just the good shit.
People who weren't born.
And we were all better off for it.
Live our lives here.
Like it was just down to the patriotic, honoring the flag. That was kind of cool. They had the flags from different moments in history.
Divisive thing. Is President Trump the right vessel for that message? I think that's highly doubtful.
Back to the phones. This is Rowan, San Antonio, Texas, Republican. Go ahead.
The Republican line.
Hi, I'm calling in as a young Republican who is
that's
my Turning Point USA chapter here at home.
That's a really gay man.
I'm calling to express that it's a sentiment shared among many young Republicans, but I am deeply ashamed of my party and the conduct of the president. You know, we voted to solve issues. We voted to deal with immigration, and instead we're getting these, you know, some people call it delusional, but it's not delusional. These are lies, and they're lies intended to undermine the system of democracy that has held our country up.
What is this, opposite day?
You're a young Republican.
The Democrats are calling in on the Republican line.
For Donald Trump?
No. Due to a personal conflict, I wasn't able to vote. But previous to that, I had voted in Republican elections before that, like 2023 constitutional amendments here in Texas. You know, I think it's a disservice to call it a delusion. These are knowing lies, and I would love to hear some explanation sort of from you and your guest about the elector scheme for the audience who might not be aware of how the president attempted to send false electors to be certified and circumvent the results of a free election.
Rowan, in terms of the Texas politics that you're talking about, who are you going to vote for in that Texas Senate race?
James Tallarico.
You know, if it was Cornyn on the ballot, I would have probably voted for Cornyn, but I cannot stomach voting for somebody like Ken Paxton, a known fraudster, known adulterer, somebody who bribes people. It's essentially a test to see if anybody with an R next to their name can get elected in the state of Texas, you know, versus a kind of kooky middle school teacher.
That's Rowan in Texas. This is Kurt in Sarasota, Florida.
Man with some sense.
Go ahead.
How you doing? Hey, I appreciate the man from Turning Point. It's like he turned around, he gave some good points, and generally it's like Biden won 360 electoral votes, 7 million, I believe, votes voted him in. Trump's playing with Georgia, which turns around justifies what? It's like 11,800 votes he's going to find. The whole balance of everything that's going on right now has nothing to do with the election itself. Trump is robbing the government. He's going to turn around and have Pulte turn around and lock in, and they're going to rob Fort Knox before he's done because he's got the right to. And I mean,
probably
when this happens, it's like I want to be the one that had said it, and I'm so thankful that you're there. It's like I personally, I don't know. I've got a brain injury from 10 years ago, and I don't activate, and I'm not activating now. But it's like I actually speaking to you, and it's like I'm feeling real good about it. And thank you very much,
Kurt. Thanks for calling in. That's Kurt in Florida. Kurt mentions
man with the brain injury has some sense.
Georgia. Let me take viewers back not too far to March. Then Director of National Intelligence.
I love this shit. I love this shit.
By the members of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence on her presence at an FBI raid of a Georgia election office from earlier in the year. This is that exchange.
Director Gabbard, the whole country knows that you were recently involved in a
apparently her refusal to come up with these bogus claims led to her dismissal.
Warrant showed no foreign interference or nexus. Matter of fact, the warrant was based entirely on conspiracy theory.
Warlord, I'm glad you asked that question because I don't know the answer to it. I honestly don't know the answer. No idea if the networks are, apparently at least two of them are not. I don't know if I was in the power to make that decision at a network if I would show it. I'm doing it because I can make comments and laugh at him and bullshit. CNN and ABC, NBC are out. Okay. That sounds about right. And CBS, Fox will show it. Makes sense. Pearl Harbor sucked, and I miss you, Byronic. That was one of the things that went around on social media, was that like, oh, let's pull a Trump and sue the networks for airing lies and trying to defraud the people for his speech. Speaking of Trump speeches, his teleprompter operator, now under investigation, made more than $100,000 betting on the outcome of Trump speeches. His teleprompter operator, get this. Thank you, Big Ben, for throwing out the gift sub.
Well, here's one wager that might not pay off. Federal investigators say that a staffer with one of the best seats in the House for President Trump's speeches may have also had some big bets riding on them. Sources telling us that Trump's longtime teleprompter operator is accused of using inside knowledge to cash in on prediction markets, allegedly making more than $100,000 by betting on what the president would or would not say. And now he's negotiating a settlement with federal regulators. Let's bring in our Washington, D.C. Bureau Managing Editor, Catherine Falder. So what the heck is
somebody being held accountable? What the fuck?
Question. Our reporting is that according to our sources, one of Trump's teleprompter operators, his main one, if you will, Gabriel Perez, has been found by federal regulators to have been betting on some of Trump's speeches. Over a 3-month period, we're told by sources that he bet on more than a dozen Trump speeches, including the one you see right there, the State of the Union speech. And while betting on those speeches, he made more than $100,000. Now, Kira, the way that he did this is he bet on Kalshi, the prediction market website, and you can go into what's called the mentions, if you will. So if you were to bet on it, you go to mentions, and then it would say, what is Trump going to mention in his State of the Union speech? It will list a number of words, and you could bet yes or no.
His teleprompter operator.
Anybody is the person who is operating the teleprompter, the person who is closest to his words before he says them. Now, what's striking about this, according to our sources, who have told us what investigators have found, is that not only would he place these bets before the speeches, but he would actually bet out of these, if you will, while the speech was going on. So, for example, if the prompter operator saw that Trump may have skipped a section in the speech, or that he was deviating from his remarks, and Perez were to place a yes bet on a word that he may have said in the part that he was jumping over while that was going on, then he would trade out of that bet, if you will, change it to no, which is a remarkable finding, at least from investigators here. Now, what we're reporting also is that the Department of Justice was notified by the CFTC, the regulator that oversees this. There was a referral. The Department of Justice at the time
Okay, I'm confused on
declined to bring a case on this. It's unclear exactly why, but that step at least happened along in the process as this investigation unfolded.
You can bet on words? Like, I can understand, like, will the president make an announcement about, bombing Iran or something? How minute can you get on these things? Is he gonna say but in the next 10 minutes? What in the fuck? I'm not comprehending. Like, I understand how the dude could lock in bets before Trump started speaking. He should have come to say Labubu. Oregon Gal, Torgy. Who else snuck in here on me? Flo, Fragwitz. Fragwitz, the scuttlebutt, the rumor mill is saying that he is going to claim that China influenced 100,000 mail-in ballots in the 2020 election and that the outcome was fraudulent. I don't know what that means. He's apparently going to have the head of the FBI, the director of national intelligence, and a couple of other cabinet officials with him to make this seem official. He's going to have Todd Blanche. There is no proof. The reporting today was that Tulsi Gabbard found that there was these theoretical gaps in security that could be exploited, but that they had no evidence of actual exploitation of these gaps, and that's why she got canned. Torchy, did I tell you good evening? Welcome in. I mentioned Tom Tillis stirred up some shit today.
We don't know what the timing is. We got to implement this stuff. So your early voting, your absentee ballot voting, the people that requested ballots,
going after the SAVE Act.
They're actually getting teed up with the current laws. That's all off the books. And we're going to get you something new in 60 days. Folks, I've done implementation work. The math doesn't work. I have to believe that these people who are
the math don't add up.
Educated, qualified to go to the Supreme Court can do basic math. It can't be done. It can't be a serious effort. And if it is a serious effort, I would suggest that they engage somebody who's actually implemented it before, instead of assuming that they can, because they simply can't. And so when I have somebody put a microphone up in my face and say, why are you against voter ID? I'd say, first, do your homework. I ratified it. I fulfilled a promise. We have solid elections in North Carolina. I'm against it because people are selling you a bill of goods.
Now, Stanage, we're about 100 days into
that was not the only
say to that point.
Shit he stirred earlier today
could be implemented before the election.
They appear to do so. I mean, certainly at times when the president has spoken so forcefully about his desire to have it passed, the implication, at least, is that it could be implemented. Now,
the implication.
Reality, I mean, Senator Tillis there was raising some of the misgivings. There are a whole host of practical issues that would have to swing into action right away. It seems on its face unlikely, even without getting into the whole bigger topic of whether a citizenship test, which is part of the SAVE Act, would in fact block genuine American.
But she won't say no.
Erroneously. You're
because of the implication.
About a law that was passed in Kansas about a decade ago, where they had a citizenship test, and about 30,000 people who were eligible to register to vote were blocked from doing so because their documentation didn't reach the required level.
Back to your phone calls. This is Douglas in Connecticut, Republican line. Douglas, what are you expecting tonight?
So it's going to be another Democrat.
Douglas, you with us? You got to stick by your phone after you call in. We'll go to Cora in California, Democrat. Go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. It's just really sad. I think this whole presidency, this whole Trump administration is sad, embarrassing, fraudulent. It's just terrible. And he wants to go and do a speech about an election he lost 6 years. It's been proven that it was fair. Even his own people said it was fair. But it's just really sad that we have, as a country, as we were the greatest country in the world, we were the richest one, but now he's the richest one, and us regular people that work, that go to school, that raise children, that don't have a Mercedes in their garage.
Are you going to watch? It's about 13 minutes from now. It's going to start. Are you going to watch?
No, I am not going to watch. It's going to be the same ranting that he always does. And what I'm going to do, I'll get
I would expect nothing less.
or somebody from somewhere else. But this guy, I call him a guy. I don't have no respect for him. That he just makes me sick. And there's many people out here
makes her spit.
Maybe don't watch the news or don't know what's going on. It's sad. It's sad. We're embarrassed. We're embarrassing. They're making jokes about America.
That's Cora in California. Now, Stanage, on who will and who won't watch tonight, and maybe the better question there is who is the president's target?
Oh shit, did I miss it?
Right, that I think is a vital question. I mean, Cora, I don't think is his target audience, right?
It sounds like she's not watching.
She's not watching.
If I didn't get in there, I'm not going to be able to get in before the speech. Thank you, Big Ben.
Efficacy.
Leftist, welcome in.
The ethics of making claims about election fraud.
We still don't know if I'm even allowed to call C-SPAN anymore.
People who are not already in his MAGA camp and will stand with him, whatever he says and whatever he does. The fear that even some more moderate Republicans expressed to me is that the concentration...
I was still able to...
so-called fraud.
Get a ring.
Off everybody except...
afterwards.
The MAGA battalions. And doesn't speak to the concerns that more...
So we'll come back to C-SPAN here momentarily. We've got a bombshell that we got to go to. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has a bombshell about one of the failed assassination attempts. He's going to have to be more specific.
For a minute, which is always dangerous. But I'm going to remind everyone in this room and all the media that I was the subject of an assassination attempt February 2024.
Oh, I had no idea about this. You? This isn't about one of the Trump assassination attempts? You're going to make it about you? Trump ain't going to like that. Let's hear what he's got to say.
For a minute, which is always dangerous. But I'm going to remind everyone in this room and all the media that I was the subject of an assassination attempt February 2024 by an adult left-wing activist 2 hours after being sworn into my job. So any of you who want to report that this is a fiction and does not exist, be there for the sentencing this August. So good morning.
Listen, I say it all the time. I'm just a small-time YouTube, Twitch streamer, and I get death threats every day. So, like, seriously, cry me a river, pal. If you're, like, much, much higher profile than me, of course you're gonna get fucking death threats. It's just the society. We're a sick society, man. You just got to accept it. That's why I've got no sympathy for the goddamn Supreme Court justices going before Congress asking for more money for security because they're scared of the political climate. What, the one you created? Fuck off.
Thank you, Secretary Rubio, for convening this ministerial and for the invitation to be here. We are here together.
I don't remember an assassination attempt.
Terrorism, transnational in design, and far left in doctrine is no longer the concern of any one nation.
I'm not saying it didn't happen, but it couldn't have been.
It calls upon the distinct and combined strengths of every government represented here today.
Close to being carried out.
Ours begins where
I would have covered it.
Terror does. It's financial lifeblood. And at President Trump's direction, the United States Treasury is bringing the full weight of our authorities to defend the integrity.
You notice the backdrop behind him says the resurgence of political terrorism. The resurgence of political terrorism. And apparently the reporting is that they are going to be designating more leftist groups as terrorist groups. You guys fucked around and got a hype train going. Yeah, they're just doing just a little fascism. They're just doing a little fascism, guys. What are we gonna do about it? Like, I don't know what our course of action is. We've got about 7 minutes until Trump's speech.
Longer, but I don't envision this being a Trump rally type speech that can go an hour or 70 or 80 minutes.
We're about 8 minutes away from the president speaking from the White House. As we said, this topic, this speech tonight, very much the topic on Capitol Hill today as questions.
I'm guessing around 15 minutes probably.
Evidence is, I want to show one more. This is the Senate minority.
Never know with Trump.
From the Senate floor today.
Donald Trump's election speech tonight is.
Did he fart this time?
Trump lost 6 years ago. It is a threat against the election he is afraid to lose this November. Trump may control the microphone tonight, but he will not control the.
Apparently, CBS and Fox will be.
We'll have the last one.
ABC, NBC.
Democrats will rebut Trump's lies every day. We will fight.
Will not be carrying it.
To make sure Trump can't silence voters. Trump's primetime.
But at this point, really, like, who gives a shit what TV networks do? Who's watching them?
It's about undermining the 2026 election before a single vote has been cast. Trump won't expose anything.
Yeah, fair enough.
2020.
We're the old people now.
The same stale, baseless, pathetic lies he's repeated for 6 years.
I say as this geriatric motherfucker is on my screen.
Shtick for 6 years. Only your little coterie of sycophants still believes these lies. No one else. You can say tonight, Trump, you can say it tonight. You can say it tomorrow. You can say it every night.
Yeah, he can say whatever he wants tonight, but, like, he does not have the power of our courts behind him.
Trump keeps chasing his tail, going round and round and round in circles. So many times he's left a rut in the ground.
You're such an ineffective leader. Please step down.
He digs himself deeper into the hole.
Please step down, sir.
Trump's fixation on these conspiracy theories reeks of desperation.
Now, Stanich, that was Chuck Schumer. Today, we're going to hear after this address tonight from another Democratic member of Congress, Joseph Borelli, Democrat from New York, member of the House Administration Committee, which oversees election issues in the House. The question is about Democrats' strategy coming out of this. What are your thoughts on how they played this today and what's going to happen over the course of the next 24, 48 hours, however long this is a...
John McCardle from...
story has legs, as they say.
Yeah.
C-SPAN is our host tonight. This is...
And how Democrats look at this.
Now Stanage.
They are...
He is a White House columnist for The Hill.
Concerned, worried about undermining of
Now
confidence in
Stanage,
false
I think.
claims being made, the infusion of toxicity into the American political bloodstream. On the flip side, I don't think they...
The toxicity of our city,
isn't particularly effective. That it's not effective beyond his base, that it revs up their base as well as...
We are 3 minutes away from the Trumpster.
...are turned off by it. Now, that may or may not be a correct calculation, but I think that is broadly how Democrats view it.
Time for just a few more calls. A few minutes here before the president is supposed to make his address from the White House. We've been joined by Niall Stanage of...
Oh, shit. C-SPAN is like a minute and a half behind.
Read his column on the White House at thehill.com. Also...
It says 4.5 minutes until...
It's Niall Stanage, Stanage, just so folks can get it.
Yell Stanage.
Republican. Thank you for waiting. What are you expecting in the next couple minutes here?
Evening, John. I'm expecting them to finally release the Kraken. It has been a long 6 years, but I'm ready. We're going to be justified.
Sidney Powell is coming out.
He's a bad fantasy football commissioner.
All right, that's Ben in Texas. Pat, Claremont, California. It's the first time that's happened.
Yeah.
Claremont, California.
Addison the first half, not going to lie.
Yeah, I'm definitely watching tonight. I want to hear what kind of spiel he gives us on, why the election was stolen in 2020. I will get behind Donald Trump, actually, if he can answer my question, which is, since he was the president in the 2020 election, why did he rig it against himself?
Great question.
That point has been made by others.
No, it has. And I mean, it is a valid point to make, I think. The argument from the Trump side is that this is all a deep state plot or whatever. It's an election that he lost as the incumbent. That's, I think, the key point that Pat is making there.
And that he has no arguments about the 2024 election. Caroline Leavitt was asked that today at the White House press briefing.
Apparently, the scuttlebutt is that he is going to claim that China
there was any
influenced over 100,000 votes that they hacked into voting machines.
It seems to me a pretty weak argument. I mean, the argument then becomes, at a time when Donald Trump was president, an election was rigged against him, but at a time when Joe Biden was president, Trump won legitimately, and that was honored. I mean, I don't really, even if you were sympathetic to the overall view, I'm not sure how that makes logical sense.
To Jerry, independent.
It doesn't, but it doesn't matter.
Thanks for waiting. Go ahead.
This is Gary.
Gary, go ahead. About 2 minutes till the president speaks.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for letting me talk. I believe that America right now is riding on an ego trip from a rich boy that was never loved when he was young.
Yeah.
He's never had anybody tell him no. I feel there is so many things going on in that White House that really need to be investigated, like really investigated. I feel it's been put out in front of our eyes, everything that's going on. I understand, people have a different opinion on things. I believe his ego ride is playing into all that for them. I believe that we're dealing with a very dangerous man.
Yes,
I feel
very dangerous man.
These next midterms, in my opinion, I worry that it could get ugly. It got ugly on January 6th. And here we got...
This should be live.
Again. And I just think he's going to learn from his mistakes. And...
Oh, shit. Do I have to go to a different feed, C-SPAN? What the fuck?
is going to be looked into. I believe it should be the last election with him and Kamala. I find it very suspicious that on TV, him and Johnson were speaking.
Lady B, welcome.
And Trump looked at Johnson and said, "We got a secret." And
that's Jerry in Arizona. About 30 seconds here. Now, Stanage, final thoughts heading into this address.
Yeah, I don't
think
that John cut him off.
Fuel some of the divisions that many of our callers have talked about, especially if there are inflammatory claims made with not very much evidence.
Lady B, we're getting ready to hear from Donald Trump from the White House.
We'll have a bombshell or some.
He's supposedly got some big announcement he's going to lay on us.
Now, Stanage,
right now.
we take you to the president at the White House.
Good evening. Before we begin,
oh, go fuck yourself, pedo.
Our country is safer, stronger, and far wealthier than it has ever been before. We are doing great. Less than 2 years ago, we inherited an economic and social disaster. After the worst inflation in 48 years, the wide open borders with millions and millions of people pouring in from all over the world, including criminals of all types, and 11,888 murderers, many of whom killed more than one person. We had transgender for everybody.
Transgender for everybody.
Crime ravaging our cities, and the whole world was laughing at us as a nation.
I like his tie.
Not anymore. 2 years ago, our country was dead. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. America is respected like we have never been respected before. We have more money being invested in the United States than at any time in the history of our country. More Americans are working today than ever before. This week it was announced that inflation saw the largest monthly decline in more than 6 years. Just happened. It was just given out. The media reported it, and we accept it. The best in 6 years. The tax cuts in our great, big, beautiful bill are saving hardworking families thousands and thousands of dollars. Like with the provisions, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, along with the interest deduction on a loan used to purchase a car.
Get to the point, pedo.
Made in America, and a 100% expensing for our job-creating businesses. Our stock markets are at their highest point in many years, but we can actually say of all time. And your 401ks, pensions, and retirement accounts are setting records every single day, the highest in history. For years, we paid the highest price for prescription drugs anywhere in the world. Now we pay the lowest price under my most...
He cut into CSI.
Because I was able to get...
just to do the normal shit we hear him say all the time. Seriously, dude, just get to it.
Responsibly. Drug prices are coming down by 70, 80, and 90%. TrumpRx.gov. This will ultimately reduce the cost.
Yeah, seriously, I'm already so bored with this.
RX.gov and take advantage of it. But the cost of health care is coming way down because of what we've done with prescription drugs. And with Trump accounts, every child in America now has access to a tax-free investment account to save for their future. Billions and billions of dollars are being invested, put in by companies and individuals to take care of our...
You know, transgender for all.
At age 18, they will have potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in their account, and they'll get
what does it mean
in life? So for that, go to TrumpAccounts.gov and sign up your child or any child who'd like to sign up.
Does that mean you can be transgender if you want to, which is, you know, the way it should be?
In the history of our country, with 0 illegal aliens being admitted to the United States in the past 14 months. That is 0. Nobody thought it was possible. We had the worst border in the history of our country, and now we have the best. Crime is plummeting nationwide with the murder rate at its lowest level since 1900, or more than 125 years ago. We're making a record investment in our armed forces, and we have the strongest and most powerful military by far anywhere in the world. I built it during my first term, and unfortunately, we're forced to.
You didn't build that.
Now, we won in Venezuela, which is now working with us to produce millions and millions of barrels of oil. We are likewise winning big in Iran, and you will see the fruits of that labor very, very shortly. America is back and doing really well, but we still have a major challenge that must be urgently addressed, because no country can be great without fair and honest elections. You have to trust your country, because if there can be no trust, there can be no greatness. And that's very simple. No trust, no greatness.
Nobody trusts you, pedophile president.
For bold, swift, and decisive action to protect the integrity of America's elections. Every American deserves to know that when they cast their vote, that vote will be counted accurately in a system, and that is to make that system secure.
Did he just glitch?
Cheating and interference are not just difficult, but virtually impossible. Unfortunately, the system we have today falls catastrophically short of that standard. Tonight, I'm announcing the immediate declassification and release of critical intelligence revealing shocking vulnerabilities in our election infrastructure. This evidence shows that the election system we have dangerously exposes, and really exposes like levels never thought possible, to hacking, exploitation, and foreign interference. Just as disturbingly, this vital information has for many years been covered up and hidden from you, the American people, our beautiful, our great American people. But that all changes right now. The documents we will release starting tonight have been gathered by the White House Government Transparency Task Force, a great group of people, along with the staff of the President's Intelligence Advisory Board, supported by our top intelligence agency chiefs, who have all personally reviewed the findings. We are presenting this evening and fully confirmed their authenticity. You can see these documents for yourself at whitehouse.gov. That's whitehouse.gov. Go check it out. Our purpose in disclosing this information is not to weaken confidence in election, but to earn that confidence by confronting vulnerabilities and correcting them very, very quickly. And that's what we're doing. The documents cover 5 major areas of concern. First, they show that over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, resulting in China's illicit acquisition of 220 million U.S. voter files.
Wait, what? 220 million?
Names, addresses, phone numbers, political party.
That's like everyone.
And other sensitive data that would be needed to register to vote and engage in other nefarious activities, which is exactly what was happening. This data loss presents an unprecedented election security nightmare. The intelligence even shows that China has signed a data exploitation unit specifically to this new project. Compounding the travesty, the second set of documents we are releasing reveals that members of the deep state, very, very famous group of people, in many cases, in our intelligence agency worked
Hillary Clinton
to suppress and downplay information about the extent of China's sinister election meddling, covering it up from both the president and the American people like nobody thought was possible. U.S. spy agencies began learning about the compromise of voter registration files in 2020 when they discovered that tens of millions of voter data, think of that, tens of millions of voters' data in 18 states have been bought, stolen, or hacked by China. Yet those responsible for sounding the alarm instead kept the information secret and hidden. They did not disclose to me as president or to anyone else, and to the best of our knowledge, they did not inform Congress. In fact, all they kept saying is, this is the most secure election in the history of our country. A standard, very pat line that was divvied out to say the cover-up of this colossal security breach is even more disturbing in light of the additional information showing that China engaged in other election-related activities to undermine my first administration and our 2020 campaign. They did not want, and they just didn't want it. They fought like hell not to have it, Donald Trump, to win, and for good reason. As the documents we are releasing show, CIA reporting explicitly stated, and I quote, in mid-2018, the Chinese Communist Party's policy was to leverage all domestic and foreign elements that were opposed to the U.S. president in an effort to reduce the U.S. president's votes and make him resign or prevent his re-election. Isn't that nice? Also, in mid-2018, China was working to influence the results of the U.S. midterm elections and later the results of the 2020 presidential election itself. Separately, in mid-2019, the Chinese government's strategy against the United States was focused.
Who wrote this for him?
Domestic confidence in the U.S. president. They wanted to just make you sound like your president wasn't so hot, when actually
I don't think it's AI because he's very distinctive,
did everything
but he is glitching.
do exactly that. Going on, this document says, and this is by the CIA, the strategy included efforts to use Chinese contacts with big U.S. companies to influence U.S. business leaders to turn against the President of the United States of America. The Chinese government sought to identify U.S. journalists who had reported negatively on the U.S. president and pay them large sums of money to write more negative articles about him, as many as they could, and they didn't care what they said. The Chinese government wanted U.S. president to lose the next election, and the reason they wanted me to lose is because they knew I was wise to them, charged them billions and billions of dollars worth of tariffs, and built the strongest military anywhere in the world. We have the strongest military.
The reason they wanted him to lose was because he was wise to them.
Quotes from the CIA reporting. The name of the person doing the quote is now under review, but it gets even worse. Raw intelligence obtained by the FBI in 2020, yet buried by rogue bureaucrats, stated that China's activities even included an attempt to manufacture illegal ballots for Joe Biden. Documents show that during this period, dozens of significant CIA and NSA reports about China's election targeting were kept out of the presidential briefing. These were briefings I would get almost every day. Everything was kept out that was of importance. One email among intelligence analysts admitted that they had, quote, deliberately massaged the presidential daily briefing to withhold information regarding Chinese activities related to the election. Another official inside the FBI wrote that she was running, quote, a shadow government, unquote, to keep intelligence about China's election meddling from becoming known and to keep it away from the honorable press. Other officials who witnessed such efforts perceived the motivations to be blatantly political. Recently, we found significant numbers of burn bags in formation, and this is a group of bags that were used to destroy information given by President Barack Hussein Obama to be burned. It was supposed to be burned.
Obama had burn bags.
Supposed to be at a different level by different people, incinerated and checked, but it never happened. Maybe we got lucky. We believe this was not done on purpose, but rather through gross incompetence of the people that were supposed to burn the bag. But the findings are stunning. Today, I'm asking the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the CIA to investigate how and why such crucial information was hidden, to fire those involved in the cover-up, and to file criminal charges.
He lost me
against these people.
I was with him for a little bit. At least knew his craziness.
The beginning. The third set of documents we are releasing proves that for many years, Americans were blatantly lied to about the security of our election infrastructure, including electronic voting machines and ballot counting systems. Dishonest, almost all. They're vulnerable and they're easily compromised, and people within our government knew that. Tonight, we're publishing a series of previously classified U.S. intelligence community assessments and other reports proving that our government has long known these machines are extremely exposed to attack. As one assessment states, we judge that the United States adversaries, including at a minimum Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, as well as non-state groups, have the capability to compromise U.S. election infrastructure. That's unquote, but that's some statement, isn't it, made by supposedly great patriots of our country. The document goes on to further state that, quote, we assess that centralized election-related data repositories, such as voter registration databases, poll books, and other official election websites, are most vulnerable to exploitation, and adversaries could use this access to these systems to disrupt election processes within the United States of America. Tonight, we're releasing all of those findings, and spanning from January 2020 to June 2026. This is a cyber threat aimed at the very heart of our democracy. Many people have questioned whether it could actually be possible to electronically manipulate vote totals or change election results on these terrible machines. Today, we are releasing documents that show the CIA obtained reporting of a specific plot to do a big number in favor of the corrupt Maduro regime in Venezuela. And that's exactly what happened, conspiring to digitally rig
now we got Maduro
elections in 2020, and that's what they did. This reporting included precise details about
So China, Maduro, and Obama
to digitally alter vote totals in ways that could not be detected even with an audit, no matter how deep they went. This intelligence underscores why we must take urgent action to ensure that our own system can never, ever be hacked or compromised like it was in the past. The fourth set of documents reveals that even when significant evidence of fraud has been detected, it has been buried and covered up. Among the disclosures tonight are FBI files detailing evidence of alleged fraud by a large-scale voter registration operation in Michigan. In 2020, Michigan State Police raided a Democrat Get Out the Vote organization, corrupt group in Muskegon. And we're so concerned by what they found. They were just so concerned, they couldn't believe it, actually, that they contacted the FBI in Detroit. The documents state that some canvassers admitted to FBI agents that they signed voter registration forms in other people's names, submitted fraudulent registration for people who did not exist, and received gift cards tied to their number of applications.
They got gift cards.
In other words, it was pay, play, and cheat. The FBI agents working
pay, play, and cheat
case believed that crimes were committed, yet the Biden Department of Justice slow-walked the investigation and killed it. Tonight, I'm asking the FBI director to ensure that the matter is fully investigated.
Yeah, they paid people with gift cards.
Justice to prosecute those responsible for any crimes. Finally, to reveal just how vulnerable our elections continue to be, we are releasing the results of a stunning investigation by the Department of Homeland Security. According to the DHS review, state voter rolls and public records, they identified approximately 278,000 non-citizens who are registered to vote in federal elections. Since Democrat states refuse to share their voter files, the real number is actually much higher than that. Yet, even this limited analysis found more than 250,000 foreigners illegally registered to vote. Put together, these disclosures reveal an election system so broken and so vulnerable that no one can possibly defend it. It is not defensible. Hundreds of millions of U.S. voter files are in the hands of foreign governments. Our machines and ballot counting systems are exposed to hacking and manipulation and corruption. China and other countries have been trying to meddle in our elections. Evidence of fraud has been buried.
China, Hugo Chavez, and Obama.
People are
Dead people.
active on the voter rolls, and yet we still have elections with no voter ID, no proof of citizenship, and tens of millions of ballots.
So we're up to China,
as one example,
Maduro, Obama, and zombies.
For mayor of LA and governor was held on June 2nd, a long time ago, but it was just completed a few days ago on July 10th. Think of that, much more than 1 month. Took a month to count the votes. I wonder what they were doing. This is worse than any third world country. There's no third world country that has elections like we have. In a rare move, NBC and ABC Fake News have both said that they would not cover this speech. They knew what it was about because of the fact that they don't like the topic, because they know how corrupt our system is and they don't want to reveal it. They and others in the media are part of a plot. They want to continue this fraud for whatever reason. They want to keep it going. They want to protect the radical left. They can't have a great country, and that's true. You can't have a great country without free and fair elections. Fraud like this should mean a revocation of their licenses. They use our public multi-billion-dollar in value airways for absolutely no money. They pay nothing. All we want is honesty in our elections and honesty in reporting. They pay nothing for
Like, this is dictatorship, but he looks pathetic. He's all droopy.
To our country. Our
low energy.
Left vulnerable to being rigged and stolen.
I can't imagine anybody even got to this point in the speech.
This cannot be allowed.
Everybody's turned this off, right? We're the only people sick enough to still be watching this.
Or otherwise, should be able to agree that we deserve the most secure, honest, and fair election system anywhere in the world.
I had to have a cup of coffee.
Should be a partisan, really. We should be together.
Eddie White flipping the bird to Donald Trump.
And it should not be a partisan issue. It should cause to unite us, not to divide us. This should be a cause. We should be united, not divided. In light of the brand new and irrefutable information I have revealed tonight, my administration is in the process.
Yeah, you should just send this to us in a Truth Social post, man.
Election data was compromised by the People's Republic of China and many others. We will be working closely to
mitigate China,
harm, and we're taking
Maduro, Obama, and zombies.
Data is better protected, so we can never be bought, we can never be hacked, and we can never watch a stolen election again. Tomorrow, the Secretary of Homeland Security will hold a briefing to outline his department's recent work confirming cyber vulnerabilities in our electronic voting systems. They are bad. We're in the process of senators and members of Congress of potential issues in their states. If you look at voting today, it's in such bad shape in so many states, and we are committing to fix it. And we're also committing to be working with those states and local jurisdictions to help them fix and patch known technical vulnerabilities before the midterm elections. We have very important elections coming up. We want those elections to be honest. I've also ordered DHS to notify every state about non-citizens on their voter rolls and direct them to remove all ineligible voters from the lists immediately. But most importantly, addressing this crisis.
Every single judge has smacked them down.
Congress must pass the Save America Act. How easy is that to do unless you want to cheat? The only reason you wouldn't do it is you want to cheat because your policies are so bad. and your candidates are so pathetic that you can't get away or can't get elected any other way. This landmark bill requires that all...
I'll flip it back on you.
Photo.
The only reason you want to pass the SAVE Act is because you want to cheat. Because you can't get elected any other way.
Voter ID. All voters must provide proof of citizenship. Are you a citizen of our country, please? And hopefully there will be no corrupt mail-in ballots, which if you watched California and so many other places, mail-in ballots are inherently corrupt. So you would have no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military deployment, or travel if you're going away on business or vacation. These reforms are urgently needed to stop the vulnerabilities that I've mentioned.
Stop your vacation. You got to pass
your phone tomorrow. Call your representatives in the House and Senate and
the SAVE Act.
That they pass the Save America Act without delay.
Stop your vacation right now and call your senator and your congressman.
Confidence in our country. And
is that important?
Better and stronger than ever.
This motherfucker.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless our great military. And God bless America. Thank you very much.
Yes, the announcement was that China, Maduro,
from the White
Obama, and zombies interfered in the 2020 election.
He outlined a number of issues that he said were problems with the 2020 election, including what he calls massive vulnerabilities in the U.S. election system. We're getting your reaction to the president's speech tonight, his address from the White House. Here's how you can.
I mean, I'm saying it my own way, but that was the speech.
920 Republicans 202.
There were zombies at the end.
921. All others 202-748-8922. As you're calling in, we're joined.
He literally said dead people.
Morelli, Democrat from New York.
I'm not making it up.
Committee, the committee that has oversight over
gift cards. Gave out gift cards.
Thank you.
Transgender for all. I forgot about that.
Your immediate reaction.
Well, honestly, it's the rantings of a pathetic, unserious person. It's terrible to say. The president knows virtually nothing about the American election system. He talks about being able to hack into machines. He doesn't even know how it works. We have 50 different systems because that's what the Constitution has established. But the truth is the president has spent no time. He has no idea what he's talking about. And virtually nothing he just said is
made
true.
Any sense.
And I'm sure when he produces documents, people will recognize that there is no basis in fact for almost anything he said. Are there attempts by foreign nations to influence our politics? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have defended against him. His own national security apparatus in 2020 during the Trump administration concluded that there were no breaches in 2020 and that he lost the election. He did lose the election. I'm sorry he's too immature to acknowledge it, but that's what drives all this. But more importantly, I think for people to remember is not only were there no breaches, a couple of things that people should know. First of all, the election security unit of our cyber security agency, CISA, has been dismantled by Donald Trump. He's the one who's taken it apart. He has literally left us vulnerable in the worst way and created vulnerabilities for local election officials around the country, which we're working literally daily to shore up and to make sure that they have the resources necessary. But voting machines aren't connected. They're not networked. You can't hack into them. Mr. President, please join me. I will go around the country with you, and we can educate you on the way American system works, our democracy. But what's really dark about this and troubling, and honestly, it's malpractice for the White House staff to have allowed the president to do this speech, because I have to believe that they know how unserious this was. But you should know that this is a pretext for the president, I think, calling into dispute the 2026 midterm elections. That is what he is trying to do.
Absolutely.
So much confusion about it that he can use extraordinary powers to try to take the vote away from the American people. Why? Because I think he fears the verdict of the American people. He watches what's happening. He reads the polls. He watches television. He knows how badly it's going because his policies have been a disaster.
Nah, he just ran it clinically.
This is a fundamental effort to weaken the foundation of our democracy, and which is why we are spending enormous amounts of time trying to make the federal government and this president doesn't disrupt the vote in the midterm elections. And look, my job isn't to put my finger on the scale to help Democrats. Yes.
Good evening, friends. I'm this old.
But our job is to make sure that Americans who are registered to vote get access to the ballot and their ballots are counted. And that the
Good to see you guys.
People is reflected in the election outcomes. That's it.
Anonymously, my friend.
Nonsense. I have no idea what he's even talking about. But again, he's not a serious person, and he has been trying now for 6 years to rewrite history because he can't emotionally accept the fact that in 2020 he lost an election. But
exactly.
It's troubling even than that, because I think he's using it, in my view, and in the view of, I think, a lot of people in this country, as a pretext to go after the results in the 2026 elections, which haven't even happened. And I would say this. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, when you talk about the 2020 election and the intelligence community, I think you're referring to the National Intelligence Council assessment that came out, their top-line finding that they released. This is the declassified portion that found that no indication that any foreign actor attempted to alter any technical aspect of the voting process in the 2020 election, including voter registration, casting ballots, voter tabulation, and reporting results. That's available.
But as we covered earlier,
if you, sir,
apparently Tulsi came back with like
these accusations,
theoretical ways that the machines could be hacked, and Trump didn't think it was enough, and that went into her firing.
Federal elections, this Michigan voter fraud case. Are these all new accusations by the president to you, or have you heard these before?
I've heard similar kinds of accusations by the president. I haven't heard the specific numbers. It's certainly a falsehood to suggest that there are hundreds of thousands of non-U.S. citizens registered in America. We have had on the committee that I'm the lead Democrat on, we've had committee meeting after committee meeting after committee meeting, and nowhere can they ever produce any evidence for the outrageous claims they make. In fact, Speaker Johnson has said publicly, there's no evidence that I can point to, but I think we just know it. I mean, the president
it's
this up, and I guarantee you,
feelings over facts.
In the coming weeks, as this information is supposedly released to the public, you will recognize, and people will.
It's an all vibes party now.
There is no data which suggests anything the president said tonight is true. He continues to do this. You know, you could argue.
China, Maduro,
still informed.
Obama and burn bags
intentionally,
and zombies.
Mistrust.
That's what I got from his little speech.
To continue,
just the rantings of a utter madman
in their election system. But I will say this: Democratic, Republican, local election administrators around this country, without regard to partisanship.
Am I wrong?
Amazing job, and that's why people should have confidence.
And I don't even like he didn't
working very hard.
Link those together in a way that made sense either.
The votes in their community to count. So they do
China, Maduro,
things that the president is
Obama and Burnback
are just wild charges that will not be substantiated.
Zombies.
I guarantee you that. And honestly, think about this. He's now contradicting the assessment of his own intelligence agencies in 2020. And if Democrats are so good at subverting democracy, how is it we have a Republican House majority,
indeed,
Senate majority, and a Republican president in the White House? How did all that happen? I mean, the president, it doesn't even make sense.
The Democrats are so good at rigging elections, they keep losing.
He seemed to be maybe pushing back on a little bit of that when he said, again, in that speech over the course of that 26 minutes, that information, and he's talking about the Chinese activities at this point, was specifically kept out of presidential daily briefings while he was president, and therefore that's why he wasn't aware of this when he was in the White House and commander-in-chief.
The president of the United States, who is obsessed with elections, apparently his own intelligence agencies kept from him and did not disclose serious breaches of the American democracy from the president of the United States. I mean, if it sounds too fantastical, if that's a word, It's because it is. It's not believable. The president of the United States saying his own intelligence people, the people in the White House around him, did not disclose, withheld information from the president of the United States about serious breaches of our election system. Does that even begin to sound like a rational thing that a president would say? By the way, these are his people. I mean, it's I'm sorry, but at some point, people around the White House, people in the Oval Office need to stop this from happening. They know the truth. The president knows the truth. The fact that they would allow him to go on national television and frankly make up falsehoods and things that they know not to be true is astonishing. You've never had a president in American history who would ever do something like Donald Trump did tonight. In the next several days, people will show, it will become clear how completely unhinged this is.
And over the next several days, tomorrow, in fact, the president said Mark Wayne Mullen at the Department of Homeland Security will be talking about some of these vulnerabilities that he alleged are there. But before you go, Congressman, I know you do have other folks you need to talk to. I want to get your thoughts on the president criticizing media for not airing this speech from the White House, specifically when referring to ABC and NBC, saying they're not airing this speech should result in a revocation of their broadcast, their federal broadcast license. What do you make of that threat?
I mean, it's the continuation of his bullying of people who enjoy a free press under the First Amendment. He doesn't like it. I've often said the things that will be under attack by Donald Trump in his second term are the free press, the independence of the courts, and the ability for people to speak out freely as we do. And you see this all the time, him using threats to the FCC, him using the court system, his continued efforts to undermine the confidence of Americans in their election system. Those are the things that lead us to dictatorships. And this is why people are, I think, so concerned. And frankly, I'll just say this, John, and I appreciate you having me on. Everywhere I go around the country, because I talk about election security and defending the integrity of the 2026 midterm elections, people are terrified. People line up to talk to us about what we're doing in this moment. And we're doing a lot. I'd love to come back and talk to you about our efforts to try to protect the election and ultimately protect the voice of the American people. But all over this country, people are rightly alarmed. And then I think when they see something like this, it's going to be reported in the next several hours or the next several days, they are going to grow more and more deeply concerned about what the president's saying and what this means for the 2026 election. I have great confidence. We will push back. The American people aren't going to tolerate this. So no matter what the president says. And frankly, we have secure elections. There are 50 different systems because each state has the ability under the Constitution to do it. So they're different. But the fact that they're different doesn't mean that they're wrong. And he should just spend a little time trying to understand the mechanics of how we do this in America. He might learn something, and perhaps it would stop him from saying some of the most irresponsible things any president in American history has ever said.
Congressman, we would be very glad to have you back. Come join our morning program. We'll take some calls with the viewers. We do appreciate your time this evening. Congressman Joe Morelli is the top Democrat on the House Administration Committee. That's the committee with oversight over federal elections. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, John.
And we're taking your phone calls, getting your reaction to President Trump's address. Again, it was just about 27 minutes long. The president laying out an array of accusations, saying he's releasing evidence on a number of fronts. We want to know what you thought about the president's address. Phone lines are open for you to do so for Democrats, Republicans, and all others. We'll start on that line. For Republicans, it's Rory in California.
Chat, is Hobby Lobby
Rory,
still really bigoted?
Yeah, a couple points. I don't know how the Democrats or the media is going to protect the American people when they're
like the old dude. The old dude at Chick-fil-A died, and they turned their shit around like quietly. They don't even like make a big deal about it. Like Chick-fil-A's okay, guys. You can go have one.
They all stay down. They obviously put the illegal aliens ahead of the American people. And
Fuzzy, welcome in.
It follows, doesn't it, that if you're going to do that, then you'd be receptive to cheating. And that's exactly what that's about. And that's exactly what that bill, that Save America Act is about. So, the Democrats have no credibility. They, the elite liberal media, they serve as they're the enemy of this country, and they want the Democrats to win. They make me sick. President Trump's very credible. He puts the American people first. He's got a lot more credibility with me and the American people than the elite liberal media does, or any of the radical Democrats. And and everything he said tonight, I put a lot of faith in, and I know it's going to be discounted. It's even discounted by the elite liberal media before he even opened his mouth.
That's Rory in California. Got your point, Rory. This is Miguel, also in California. It's Loomis, California. Line for Democrats. Go ahead.
Right. I've been a voter for 65 years in California. I've gone to the polls. I've sent my ballot in by mail. I've even gone up to the election office and watched them count the ballots. And Trump doesn't know what he's talking about. We have the most secure election system in the world. And he's just trying to make it sound like it's horrible. And it's not. It's great. And whether you're a Democrat or Republican in our area, you've gone, you voted, you sent your ballot in, it's been counted. And Trump is just so full of it. I can't believe how he comes up with, well, maybe, who gives a much about Venezuela? Our ballot machines are safe. Nobody's tampered with them. And yet he's trying to make the United States public believe that somehow, well, they could be tampered in. They weren't. They haven't been. He needs to get off his bandwagon and do something for the American public, not for his own personal image. He lost the election in 2020. It was proven he lost it. All the court cases said he lost it. But his poor little mind says, oh, no, I didn't lose it. So it's time to get on track, Trump. Do something good for the American public and quit trying to bolster your ego. Thanks.
That's Miguel in California. Derek in Biglerville,
Miguel,
Republican. You're next. What did you think of the president's address?
I thought the address was right on point. And I'll also bring up to you, back in 2019 when Trump was campaigning, we always heard Russia, 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 Russia. And now you hear nothing but crickets when the Democrats talk about Russia. You don't hear anything. Now it's the China thing, and I do believe it was China all along.
Avalon, he said the 2020 election was tainted. China obtained the voter registration data of 220 million. Is that what it was? 220 million?
To interfere with the election that year.
It was China, and then Maduro had something to do with it. And then Obama had burn bags
their assessment
and zombies.
We assessed that China did not deploy interference efforts and considered but did not deploy
that was the gist of the speech.
The outcome of the U.S. presidential election in 2020. That was the assessment that was released in 2021. The president,
Mr. Sprong,
that's very much not the case, saying he has new evidence that he will release, saying that China very much did try to interfere and that the deep state, as he described it, downplayed the Chinese compromise of the U.S. election system. David in Brooklyn, New York, Democrat. What'd you think of the address?
Yeah, so I guess the first thing, anybody who's talking about the SAVE Act needs to remember that poll taxes were eliminated by the 24th Amendment. So you can't make people get a voter ID because that costs money. And so that technically is a poll tax. I've heard a lot of people mention that. But right now we've wasted 30 minutes of our evenings on a speech that doesn't talk about a health care plan that he said he'd have in 2 weeks, did not end the war in Ukraine. We're still bombing Iran. We still don't have a stable economy.
Yep.
And it's only deflection. And the Epstein files are still, unresolved.
Absolutely.
I think Republicans and Democrats in the same world can say this president has the best way of selling you something that is making you forget what's in the other hand, as he, has the, the arrows over his left shoulder. it's all meant to be deflection. It's never meant to be something that is concrete. Even when these documents come out, he will say, well, we didn't release all of them. We can only release some of them. So the point is we need to keep moving away from the deflection, and the sane minds need to come out and realize that this is a person who wants to win, hates to lose. And if Democrats have any sane parts of it, is not talk about this, but talk about the issues. Don't lose track of it when the midterms come up, because you're already in a good place, but continue to focus on what you're going to do to change things as opposed to prosecuting this president or anything he's saying, because the more breath you waste on him.
Oh, we should fucking prosecute him.
Because you're not talking about actual issues that matter to the American people, and Republicans are to call up are probably going to say, oh, yeah, our elections are stolen, all these other things. I was in the UK during the most recent UK elections, and they took the ballot boxes even from like the islands, and they put them right on boats, and they brought them into the mainland, and then they started counting. You can do that. We do that in the United States. It's just people don't believe that happens because there are so many different ways to vote here that enable everyone to have the right to vote. And I think that's the key part. Everybody has the right to vote. People who have legal status. You could talk about illegal aliens, which is not the case. And he also mentioned that there's only 250,000 people that came up. Where's the mentioning of the voter fraud that is typically happening with his fake electors in Michigan, where he talks about the get out to vote Democrats, but yet he sent fake electors and he made a phone call. So who's really trying to sway elections anyway? And again,
that's your point.
Elon Musk,
David,
referred for prosecution.
On the illegal immigrants, non-citizens that the president said are registered to vote in federal elections. That was
for some sort of criminal action to the state.
26-minute address. Here's the president.
We are releasing the results.
Oh no, we can't listen to this
by
again.
the Department of Homeland.
To summarize, China, Maduro, Obama and burn bags, and zombies. The FBI is apparently looking. Yeah, they had gift cards. I forgot about the gift cards. Thank you, Dougie. The FBI is reportedly investigating the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool because of the peeling in the algae.
And according to the New York Times, the FBI says they're investigating the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. Photos show an FBI evidence team on site yesterday when the pool was drained for repairs. President Donald Trump blames alleged vandals for the pool's peeling and even its algae issues. Critics argue that no bid contracts in a rush to make changes to the pool by July 4th are to blame.
The FBI also apparently ordering White House officials to turn over their cell phones as they're probing a leak about remember a week ago he flew back on the old Air Force One instead of the new one.
Exclusive CNN reporting tonight on the investigation into leaks about security shortcomings of the new Air Force One. Last week, you'll remember, the president flew the old plane instead of the new one when he left the NATO summit. The White House claims it was so that U.S. service members could tour the new one. The New York Times said it was because the Qatari gifted plane lacked key defense systems, and the president was incensed by that reporting. Now we've learned some government officials have been asked to turn over their phones at the White House as part of a leak probe. CNN's Evan.
We all just need to mock the motherfucker.
Evan, what more have you learned about this White House probe?
Yeah, this was an
fascists hate it when you mock them.
Friday, where Kash Patel, the FBI director, and Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, essentially helped orchestrate what was hours-long. Numbers of people from the White House, people who may have known about the president's trip, were brought in. Their devices were taken from them in some cases, and they were being questioned by FBI agents because of this leak hunt. The FBI, of course, is trying to figure out who in the government could have possibly leaked this information to the media. And the president, as you pointed out, John, is very much obsessed with this. And that, again, took place at the White House. We have a statement from the White House about this unusual scene. They said leaks that jeopardize the safety of the president, his staff, and a traveling press pool are dangerous and a threat to national security. The White House takes these leaks seriously and will do everything legally to ensure the individual or individuals are caught and it does not happen again. That's, of course, from the White House this evening.
And Evan, we know the president was furious about this reporting, the disclosures. Is it easy enough to just connect the...
Let's go to Seattle, where... Joey, good evening, my friend. Welcome in. In Seattle, there was a court-appointed prosecutor, and Trump has apparently had that prosecutor fired.
Well, it was a quick first day on the job for Western Washington's newest top prosecutor. Less than an hour after being named to that position, he was fired by President Trump. Roger Rogoff is a former King County judge and was chosen by federal judges to take over as U.S. District Attorney. The position has been vacant since February, but Western Washington hasn't had a permanent U.S. attorney since 2023. Several interim U.S. attorneys have led the district since then, but they can only serve a limited time. The position was previously held by Charles Neal Floyd, but in February, before his term was going to be complete, his title was changed to First Assistant U.S. Attorney. He has continued to run the office since then. Rogoff was selected to fill the position until President Trump could pick a replacement, but the president fired Rogoff, and that position remains unfilled.
I think the email said, message from the president. The president has asked me to inform you that you are removed from...
They're saying the president specifically. Somebody has it out for this guy in the White House.
The office of the U.S. Attorney. And this is not judges going off and doing something they're not authorized to do. It is clearly in statute, in the Vacancy Act, that this is how judges fill that gap when the administration isn't able to confirm someone.
The Justice Department says the firing was within the president's authority. Senator Patty Murray criticized the decision, saying in a statement, quote, he should have never been fired, but the president wants to appoint an out-of-touch extremist who will put Trump over the rule of law. And
yeah.
Rogoff says his firing was not unexpected. He does plan to take some kind of legal action, he says. There's still no word on who will fill that, once again, vacant position.
Apparently, J.D. Vance is being a pain in the ass. The question is, who is the anointed one for Trump? Does Trump try to run for a third term? Does he use the things that he said tonight about zombies and Maduro to try to say that he can run again and the Republican Party is just going to be like, okay. And Marco Rubio is going to be his second in command? I have no idea, but J.D. Vance is apparently being a pain in his ass.
Thanks, Carol Leonnig and Von Hilliard are out with some gobsmacking exclusive new reporting on simmering tensions within J.D. Vance's Secret Service detail.
Gobsmacking.
Over crazy request by J.D. Vance and his family, considered completely unprecedented compared to every past vice president of the United States. From that new report, quote, on Thursday last week, Secret Service agents groused amongst themselves as they prepared to deliver another perk to Vice President Vance's family. Join a military helicopter crew to fly his young son to his golf lesson, end quote. The trip was canceled due to weather, but three sources tell Carol and Vaughn this, quote, the Secret Service staff's complaints about a planned chopper ride for an elementary school student reflects a building morale problem inside the team of agents assigned to shield Vance and his young family. Agents have shared concerns internally about Vance and his office, pressing them for trips and assignments that some agents consider and inappropriate or even unprecedented use of government resources compared to prior vice presidents. The agents pulled in to protect...
And they're all doing it. Cash Patel is doing it. How many other fucking agency heads are doing it that we don't hear about because they don't have
the security team.
Really dislikable faces that you want to punch like J.D. Vance?
Now saying in part, quote, "The Vances are grateful to the men and women of the U.S. Secret Service who serve our country with distinction." Joining us at the table, senior investigative reporter Carol Lenig. To the last sentence of this story, it is a holy you-know-what.
Thanks, Nicole. Thanks.
A holy you-know-what.
To work
I like their set.
Story and work with
I really like their set. That's a nice set.
Above reproach. You know, the Secret Service doesn't complain a lot. I've covered that.
I've already watched this, but you guys have got to see it. If you didn't hate Josh Hawley before this, you will absolutely hate Josh Hawley now. He is going to be berating a attorney that was tasked with making pardon recommendations to Joe Biden, and it is apparently the attorney that overturned many death penalty cases that the federal government had, you know, on the grounds that the death penalty is immoral. So as you watch this clip, notice that Josh Hawley makes it seem like this woman let murderers and rapists out of prison when in reality she commuted them from a death sentence to life in prison. He uses the victims multiple times, and I wonder, you know, I would say the victims, if I had to guess, it would be along the same lines as we as a population. Half the victims would be anti-death penalty and half be for 60-40, something like that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just on that note, Ms.
Please,
Binsky,
yeah.
and for everybody who's here, all of the victims, thank you for being here. Thank you for standing up and telling your stories. Ms. Boss, thank you for being here and for telling us about your daughter. I'm sorry for what all of you have been through. So I want to say thank you and honor your voices and honor what you're doing. Ms. Oyer, if I could just turn to you. You were President Biden's pardon attorney, is that correct?
I was the Justice Department's pardon attorney.
You made clemency recommendations to the White House whether or not to pardon inmates, is that correct?
My job was to make clemency recommendations.
And in that capacity, you recommended that the President of the United States, Joe Biden, grant clemency to all 40 federal death row inmates. All of them. Clear them out. Correct?
Sir, as
Yes.
I told Chairman Grassley, I'm not free to discuss the recommendations.
Well, that's what your memo says. I mean, we have your memo. Your memo of November 4th, 2000.
I am anti-death penalty. That's a
disparity and
very reasonable position to have,
which are present in many, if not all, of these cases, have been recognized as grounds for clemency. And you went on to recommend in that memo and a series of other memos that are now recorded and public record that the President of the United States grant clemency to murderers, rapists, and the most horrible offenders, all of them, clear death row completely out. I'm amazed you've been called here today. I'm absolutely amazed by it. But let's just talk about the people who you recommended. You talk about honoring victims. The people who you recommended get clemency and live at the expense and sufferance of taxpayers for the rest of their lives. Let's start with Dylan Roof. Dylan was a neo-Nazi who murdered 9 African-American worshipers at a Bible study in Charleston, South Carolina, 2015. Do you remember this case?
I do remember it very well.
I would hope you did. Here's his victims. You want to look at them? There they are. 9 of them at a Bible study in a church.
It's disgusting to do this.
In cold blood. The DOJ knew from day one that he had decided.
I find it hard to believe that Josh Hawley isn't smart enough to know what he's doing.
Of their race. He further decided to attack African-American worshipers in a black church in order to make his attack more notorious. More notorious. And yet you recommended that he be granted clemency, live at the expense of taxpayers for the rest of his life, substitute your judgment for that of the American judicial system. Do you stand by that recommendation today?
Sir, I'm not going to comment on the recommendations that I made, but I can tell you that Mr. Roof is going to die in prison as...
He's going to live in prison for a very long time because of you, because of your recommendations. And here's what you said in your memo of October 30th, 2024. You said that actually Roof is not a compelling candidate for clemency, but you recommended it anyway. Why? Because he suffered from anxiety, you said. Right? He suffered from anxiety. Did it ever occur to you that maybe...
I mean, that was probably just listed on there.
Suffer a little bit of anxiety because he marched into their church and murdered them in cold blood because he was an incredible racist and he wanted to get on TV.
I think it's incredibly dishonest what he's doing, and he's smart enough to know better.
Do you regret it? Let's talk about Robert Bowers, a man who regularly spewed such vile hatred of Jews. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. He barged into a Pittsburgh synagogue in 2018 and he shot everybody he could find, killing 11 innocent people who were there to worship. A federal jury in Pittsburgh unanimously recommended the death sentence after finding him guilty on 63
He knows better.
Here they are. They're his victims. Take a good look. You recommended clemency for this person who went in and killed these people just because they're Jews. The other guy killed people just because they're black. This guy killed people just because they're Jews. A jury recommended that he be sentenced to death, and you substituted your judgment for theirs, and now he's going to live. Are you proud of that?
Sir, what I am proud of is the fact that I took my job as pardon attorney extremely seriously.
Apparently not seriously enough. You certainly didn't take the victims seriously. Then there's Jorge Avila Torres, who wasn't just a murderer. He was a serial killer and a rapist.
Sir,
Here is who he assaulted and killed. He sexually assaulted and killed 8-year-old Laura Hobbs and 9-year-old Crystal Tobias in a Chicago suburb in 2005. And then 4 years after that, he committed another murder. He slaughtered a fellow service member, Navy Petty Officer Amanda Snell, in 2009 while she was in her barracks. That's what he did. And you recommended clemency for this individual, and now he'll live his life at the expense of taxpayers because you substituted your judgment for that of the American judicial system, jury, judges, the whole lot, and yet you're here to tell us that you're somehow a victim? I don't think so, Ms. Oyer. I think your judgment is astoundingly terrible. I'm amazed that this side of the aisle has called you, and I just ask my friends on this side of the aisle, do you agree with this? Is this what you
Yes. Yes.
Do you want these people to be part
I am anti-death penalty. I agree with what she did.
You want to excuse the murders.
It's not excusing the murders. It is dishonest for you to say that.
In their synagogues. Do you want to excuse the murders of these children? Because that's what she did, and now she's online hawking products to try to make money off of it. I see you've got your own website where you put your face on baseball caps and mugs.
Do you have a podcast?
Oyer.com. You're trying to make money on this?
Sir,
this is unbelievable, Ms. Oyer, and yet you say you're a victim? These are the victims. And you
Did she say she was a victim?
And what you're doing is wrong. I hope every member on this side of the aisle will repudiate what you have done and what you stand for. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for calling Senator Josh Hawley's office. If you are hearing this message, we are experiencing a high volume of calls and staff members are currently on the line with other constituents. Your call is important to Senator Hawley, and we encourage you to stay on the line while we connect you to the next available staff member. If you are a constituent and need help with a federal program or process, you may also request assistance online by visiting hawley.senate.gov and selecting the federal
use my powers for good
homepage or the Contact tab in the top right-hand corner. The Senator values and appreciates your feedback and opinions. Please stay on the line and someone will be with you.
Thank you for calling Senator Josh Hawley's office. If you are hearing this message, you're either experiencing a high volume of calls and all of our staff members are on the line with
Ring, ring, banana phone.
or you are calling outside of normal business hours.
I am.
Your call is important to Senator Hawley.
I am outside normal business hours. I just happen to be on.
Later. You may also visit hawley.senate.gov
Can I leave a message?
to share your opinion about legislation or policy issue, or to request assistance with a federal program or process. Senator Hawley values and appreciates your feedback and opinions. Thank you for calling.
Hey, Senator Hawley, this is JustinFREAKIN from the Troll Patrol. I usually call female members of Congress, and like Senator Joni Ernst, I find her very attractive. But we just watched a clip of you being incredibly intellectually dishonest. I am absolutely on the side of a lawyer or from the Biden Justice Department that recommended the pardons, because she's on the grounds of being anti-death penalty, and that is not excusing the death of any of those people. And that was like you spitting on their graves to use them to politically grandstand, and I really didn't appreciate that, because you're intelligent enough to know better. Most Republicans are really goddamn dumb, but I know you're intelligent enough to know better. So you're just disgusting psychopath using it to politically grandstand, and that makes it so much worse. So fuck you, Hawley. That was worth it. I feel good. It was worth staying on the line for. She does answer for herself. I'm sorry to step over her.
Assume that your questions directed at me were rhetorical and that you're giving.
They're not rhetorical at all. I asked you to respond and you said you wouldn't. So what I did is I read to you what you have said. I quoted verbatim, and I'm happy to keep doing it. In fact, I'd ask now, Mr. Chairman, that this report, Restoring and Strengthening the Federal Death Penalty Report, be entered into the record. It contains information regarding Ms. Oyer, her recommendations, and the track.
I said her name wrong, didn't I?
Records are here. I asked to be entered into the record.
Oyer.
Ms. Hoyer, take a minute to
He called her a Hoyer.
if you want to.
Thank you, Chairman Grassley. I, under President Biden, just like under President Trump, had a job to do, which was to make recommendations to the president about how to best accomplish their clemency objectives. I put the utmost effort into doing that in a way that was consistent with the interests of the justice system and all of its stakeholders, which includes crime victims, as well as defendants, as well as family members, as well as judges, as well as prosecutors, all criminal justice system stakeholders. The process that I presided over was one that was beyond reproach. What's happening now with clemency is an absolute disgrace, and I'm sorry that I can't answer the questions about the specific recommendations in this public setting, but I would be glad to meet with any members of this committee who have concerns privately to discuss to the extent I can what your
Privately, why don't you meet with the victims' families? Here's the disgrace.
Senator Whitehouse.
Yeah, he wasn't done being a piece of shit. After tonight, after that clip, I specifically hate Josh Hawley with a burning passion because he is intelligent. He's not Ron Johnson. You see what I'm saying? He's really smart, and he's doing like the worst. There are like Brandon Gill in the House. You're really fucking dumb. Chip Roy, really dumb. They got me worked up. Let's simmer down now. Because by ironic, I'm really high. We smoked so many bongs while Trump was speaking. Congress has passed a bill. I doubt the Senate is going to adopt it. Pay me in you cards. Yeah, they're like, that was a dishonest argument. Even if you're, because like I understand being pro death penalty. I've explained this many times. I used to be. I get it. It makes sense, but I can give you the reasons not to be for it. For me, I start from the conclusion that I don't think any innocent person should ever be put to death by the state. Like, that is worse than letting a criminal get away with it. If you feel like it, like, do you feel where I'm coming from? And we're really bad at killing the right people. We're bad at it. We have a very bad history. But anyway, let's go to a subject that's not so heavy. And it will be just as contentious, not so heavy a subject. Byronic, this does not apply to you. The House has passed a bill. Matter of fact, you can weigh in and tell us what it's like. You live this life every day. This is the life I want for us. I think. Are you on standard time or are you on daylight savings time? The House has passed a bill to make daylight savings time permanent.
Tonight, is the sun finally setting on America's twice-a-year time changes?
Daylight savings time can stay.
The possibility hitting a viral fever pitch.
Please, let's actually do it this time.
It comes after the House this week passed the Sunshine Protection Act to make daylight saving time, the time we're currently in, that's
the time now, so that it will get later, like it will get dark later in December. Like the sun will set an hour later. That's what I want. I think it will lift everybody's spirits. We've got more sunshine. Sunshine Protection Act, 100% behind it. We're having the debate right now. Does anybody have a reason why they would want to stay on standard time? That you would actually want it to get dark. That would then result in it getting dark at like 8 o'clock in the summertime. And I don't want that. I want it to get dark at like 9 o'clock in the summertime. Queer Society, welcome in. I want everybody's opinion. I want daylight savings time.
observed from March until November, permanent. Members celebrating with
because then in December, on December 20th, it's gonna get dark at 6 o'clock instead of 5 o'clock. They would just stay on. They would also switch if they're on standard time. They would switch to permanent daylight savings time, I guess. Yeah, that was Here Comes the Sun.
Knowing the bill faces a tough road in the Senate and that failed before. But this time it has the backing of President Trump, who posted earlier this year, it's time that people can stop worrying about the clock. Across the country, business owners weighing in on the debate from a clock shop in New Jersey.
I don't personally like it. However, for my business, it's profitable.
To a Christmas tree lot in Tennessee, hopeful more buyers might shop later in the day.
I think it's going to be more of an impact to those of us that harvest the crop.
But the big question on everyone's mind, what would winter look like in your town? If daylight saving time becomes permanent, on the first day of winter, the sun wouldn't rise until around 8:20 a.m. in New York City.
See? That's fine. The sun rises at 8:20. That's cool.
Sticking around until sunset at 5:28 p.m. In Detroit.
And I posture to you that would be better for the schools. During wintertime, schools are prone to 1 hour delays to try to let the ice melt on roads and shit. That would eliminate some of that. The need for that, having the sun come up late. No, that would make it more prone to that, wouldn't it? Well, fuck them kids. I don't give a shit.
at 9:05 a.m. and setting at 6:07 p.m. Out west, sunrise wouldn't happen until 9:42 a.m. in North Dakota or 8:54 a.m.
Well, who gives a shit what happens in North Dakota?
I love arriving to work and dropping my kids off at school when it is completely dark.
The prospect of dark mornings hitting a nerve with many, and doctors saying the lost morning light could have big impacts on health.
So you can see from studies that people can have more problems with depression and anxiety.
Oh, damn. I forget about most people get up in the mornings, don't they?
And what about air travel?
I'm not
The idea of
normal.
going to permanent daylight savings time would have an impact on airlines?
It would have an impact, but I don't think it would be significant. It's certainly...
Time is fake. We did make it up, but we all got to agree to it, and I want to do permanent daylight savings time.
Airline does.
I actually really like that idea. Please.
To lock the clocks for good.
Maggie Vespa checking my clock. Yep, she's right on time. She joins us from Chicago. So, Maggie, the Senate still has to vote on this. If it passes,
Tom Lama.
It might sound like a clean shift, but this could actually get really messy.
Yeah, Tom, it definitely could, because here's the thing. States can opt out if and when this bill is passed before it takes effect. So it definitely wouldn't mean necessarily that all states across the country would go permanently into daylight saving time. In fact, case in point, Hawaii and Arizona already don't observe daylight saving time. They stay on standard time year round. They never change their clocks. So if this gets passed, at least much of the country would be an hour ahead of those states, plus factoring in the differences for various time zones. And again, as we stress, that's if this passes. There's no guarantee the Senate will pass it. And in fact, no vote has even been scheduled at this point. Tom.
All right, Maggie Vespa clearing it up for us. We'll see what shall happen. We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top.
Shut up, Tom Lama.
News app, or watch live on our YouTube channel.
On my list right here on the screen, it still says "Shut up, Lester." It brings a tear to my eye. I miss Lester. He's not dead. We can bring him back. We should Tom Lama is perfectly fine. I just kind of miss yelling at Lester because we didn't really pick up on the Shut Up Lester until like right at the end of his reign of terror on the NBC News. How many of you had a sunset that was orange?
We now bring you a First Alert Weather Day update.
Brought to you by the Loons.
Well, happy Thursday, everyone. Meteorologist.
I don't know what I just picked up on here.
Thursday afternoon, first
Really?
weather live stream. Obviously, the big story to see this out.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see.
24 to 36 hours. Now we'll get to that here in just a little bit. But it is there that this smoke is heavy. It's noticeable, and you're definitely going to be feeling it. Real quickly over to our Facebook chat. Cherry says, good afternoon, Stone, from Gladwin. Hope we get some much needed rain. We're going to get some rain, I think, possibly into this weekend. It may not give us that relief like we typically would see. It actually may end up pulling in more wildfire smoke. So we will.
I've got some. Oh yeah, if you're out on the West Coast, you probably haven't had sunset yet. It's been dark for an hour or so here. This is from Chicago. Oh my God. Look at that shit. Holy. This was like a live shot when we were coming on. They've taken it down, but this is maybe an hour and 40 minutes ago. Ooh, you know what we missed while we were doing Donald Trump? The Democratic debate in Maine to see who will replace Graham Platner. You guys like to watch it now? Yeah, seems fun. That's what I was getting ready to say.
Good evening and welcome to News Center Maine's Voice of the Voter Democratic Senate Debate. I'm Rob Caldwell along with my colleague Phil Hirschkorn. For the next 2 hours, you're going to hear from 8 candidates, each of whom hopes to be Maine's Democratic.
There is only an hour of this on here.
The Democratic Party needs a new nominee to take on Republican incumbent Susan Collins because the candidate who had locked up the nomination, Graham Platner, withdrew last week. A new nominee will be chosen by delegates at a Democratic convention in 9 days, delegates who will be elected this weekend at county party meetings.
Boy, do I love not having clips of me being
the first hour
overly supportive.
Ran for the Democratic.
All I ever really said about him was he seems like he says the right things.
And one candidate who ran for the U.S. House of Representatives in Maine's 2nd District, Jordan Wood. They each received more than 20.
I feel justified in my skepticism.
You'll hear from 4 other candidates in our second hour.
We're asking the candidates to keep their answers to 1 minute, and we have a countdown clock so they can see how much time is left. With that, let's get started. We'll begin with opening statements from the candidates in alphabet.
I mean, he was endorsed by Bernie.
Thank you. Good evening.
Fetterman was endorsed by Bernie, so I'm starting to have
Who will meet the moment, and who is going to fight for you? From the ACLU to the State Senate to the Secretary of State, that's who I've always been. I threw Donald Trump off the ballot on January 6th. And then, when Donald Trump came for your voter data, I said, hell no, go jump in the Gulf of Maine. I fought in court to keep your data safe, and we won. I blocked ICE from having undercover license plates because there are no secret police in a democracy. I've struggled. I grew up in Hancock without electricity or running water until I was in the 5th grade. And I'm here because Mainers deserve a senator with backbone. Thank you.
Troy Jackson.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Troy Jackson, a 5th-generation logger, a union member, a father of 2. And before I go any further, I want to...
I believe this is the leftist pick.
The Guerrero family in Biddeford for the senseless killing by ICE agents. Horrific, something that should have never happened. And part of the reason why we should be running for this seat so that to have somebody that actually does right by people in this state. Look, I got involved in politics way back in 1998 as a logger whenever corporations were holding us back, holding my community back. And that's why I organized a border blockade to take on that corporate power. Since then, I've been in the Maine legislature, I've been Senate president.
Leftist, it's Maine.
People time and time again, and brought Republicans and
You got to remember what the demographics are.
To do child care, to do a whole bunch of things. But there's so much more that has to be done, and that's why I'm running for U.S. Senate now, so that everyday people get a government that they deserve.
What people of color in fucking Maine?
Good evening, everyone. My fellow Mainers, I didn't expect to be here. We didn't expect to be here as a state. But I'm honored to be here.
There's your person of color.
Times. In the past 10 days, all of our heads have been spinning. And then on Monday,
he's not the leftist in the race.
Guerrero was murdered on his way to work. And I'm angry about that. I'm angry that there's a 3-year-old girl who's never going to see her father again. With a system this broken, we simply cannot stand by for 6 more years of Susan Collins' status quo. And I am the best equipped to prosecute the case against her. And it starts with one simple question. Senator, what do you hope to expect in the next 6 years that you have not been able to accomplish in the last 3 decades? This special election comes down to one thing, electability. And my performance in last month's gubernatorial shows that I am the candidate that's best positioned to bring...
I don't know. My political instincts say that Susan Collins wins it again.
Jordan Wood.
Thank you for hosting tonight's debate, Phil and Rob. Thank you, everybody who's watching at home.
I was in second grade when Susan Collins was first elected our senator. In the 30 years that she's been in Washington, she's helped build a political system that is failing us. I served as the chief of staff. I was barricaded at the Capitol on January 6th. I know the threat that Donald Trump poses to the future of our democracy.
Honestly, she's probably going to win.
Held more than 40 town halls.
That's what my political instincts are telling me.
We support Medicare for all, universal child care at $10 a day, a billionaire's tax. And
she's probably the most vulnerable she's ever been, but also she's probably going to win.
A senator we can trust, and that's why I don't take any money from corporate PACs, lobbyists, or AIPAC. Our next nominee has a very tough task. I am the only candidate on this stage who can separate themselves from Graham Platner, the candidate, from our progressive movement to change Washington. Last October, when I didn't believe Graham was telling us the truth about his past, I spoke out, and it cost me politically. But if I am your nominee, I promise I will be able to separate him from Susan Collins and the need to defeat Donald Trump and his agenda, which is wreaking so much havoc on our state. Thank you.
Let's turn to our first question. You've mentioned Graham Platner. Let's begin there. He withdrew from the race after his campaign flamed out, but along the way, he attracted a lot of enthusiasm, generated a lot of enthusiasm among Democratic voters, offered a lot of plans, a lot of proposals. My question is, and I'll begin with you, Troy Jackson, what is the idea from Graham Platner that you heard that you will use to move forward with your campaign and try to win votes?
Well, I think that's pretty clear. I mean, what Graham talked about is something that I've been fighting for since I got into politics. Healthcare, Medicare for all. I mean, people in this country deserve to have healthcare. We deserve to have people in government that are not.
Oh, he beat you to it.
The ultra wealthy in this country on the backs of healthcare. This is something that I believe strongly in. I fought consistently in the state legislature for. I've tried to pass a whole bunch of bills for prescription drug coverage, making it easier for people. I've certainly supported Maine care expansion. And that's the thing that I think that Graham did the best, was talked about fighting against the healthcare industry and the prescription drug industry to make sure that people in this state and this country had affordable, quality healthcare. Nothing else matters if you don't have a good healthcare.
And nothing else matters.
And mine overlap. One that I think is particularly relevant this week is the need to finally abolish ICE. For anyone who's on the fence about that, let me ask a simple question. How many more people must die?
Ooh, maybe the person of color is coming forward for us.
Finally agree that now is the time to
I like me some abolished guys.
Now, rather than abolishing it, what Susan Collins has decided to do in recent years is increase the budget to a staggering $70 billion. That's more than 3 other federal law enforcement agencies combined, the FDA, the DEA, and the U.S. Marshals. But when I was on the ground in Biddeford this week, I didn't hear a single person asking for more tactical gear or snatching more people off the streets. What I heard over and over again was for humanity.
T-minus, thank you for throwing out the gift sub.
It is far
I appreciate you, my friend.
For ICE to go because it has proven itself unable to discharge its mission safely. We must abolish ICE and respect the immigration status of so many Mainers here.
By the way, I'm older than ICE.
Yeah, I declared for the U.S. Senate last April and ran for the U.S. Senate for 6 months and spent several months on the campaign trail with Graham. And when you're the first in, you get to learn from other candidates too. And one thing, I've been very involved in human rights work. I've been protesting.
He looks like a Pixar character.
Statehood, a 2-state solution. I care deeply about the people in Gaza, but
he looks like he'd be a little boy character in a Pixar movie.
To me, when you make that commitment, you have to be ready to go all the way for the need to put.
Damn, each one of them is hitting a.
Graham got into this race saying this is genocide.
Leftist position. This one's going Gaza genocide.
Voters are looking at you to see what is going on in Gaza, the genocide that Israel is committing, and the need.
One went Medicare for all. One went abolish ICE.
But it is one thing that I took from Graham.
This one went Gaza genocide.
But I learned it from him.
Shannon Bellows.
The single idea from Graham Platner that spoke most deeply to me is that he's right. The democracy that we thought we had has been deeply corrupted by those in power in Washington, the billionaires and the massive corporations. But it's a false choice that it should be one, because he energized a movement that's always been there.
She's very stilted.
Choose. It's about Medicare for all. It's about getting ICE out of Maine. It's about seeing the harm of October 7th and seeing the harm that what Netanyahu is doing in Gaza is genocide. And that we can hold both of those ideas and we can speak the truth, not try to figure out which talking points will win.
Your entire answer was talking points.
Dr. Shaw first. If you're chosen as a Democratic nominee, everyone knows you'd be running against Susan Collins as she seeks a 6th term. We learned this week she's got $11 million of campaign cash in the bank. There are independent groups that have
This is the
to back her.
debate
Familiar with her, as well as the
for the candidates to replace Graham Platner as the Democratic nominee
$5 billion in earmarks
for Senate in Maine.
600 projects. So how do you mount a winning campaign against all that with just 100 days to go to Election Day?
Phil, you're right. The one argument that Senator Collins
can't ban T-minus.
Re-election is that she brings
T-minus can ban you, but T-minus is like the nicest person in the world.
that argument head on. Sure, she brings in about $300 million to the state of Maine.
And T-minus would never ban you
For having her as our senator. We encounter a situation where there are tariffs right now, where the average Maine family
Oh, not you, Lady B.
$1,000 a year. We have a war in Iran where Senator Collins has done nothing other than make basic statements about.
Does he not
And that war is
look like a Pixar character?
and making diesel fuel for loggers and lobstermen much more expensive. It's jacking up fertilizer prices. Not long ago, when there was a vote on the Affordable Care Act,
Crick's T-minus probably doesn't even know what that means.
against extended
Or may, because, like, you know, he watches Dave and shit.
nutrition, food for hungry kids. And so, sure, she brings in money to the state, but the question we should ask ourselves is not what we can do or how we will live without her. It's whether we can afford to live with her for 6 more years, because net of net, we lose money because of her.
Jordan Wood?
Yeah, we need to be realistic. We have a real challenge in front of us. I think our country, our state, our democracy are all relying on us. I think
breaking his balls.
People across the state agree with me that yes, Susan Collins does bring back appropriations funding for projects that are important in all communities across the state. But this is a different moment for our country. And we need her to step up and meet that moment. To have the courage to stand up and defund ICE, abolish it, prosecute the agents who have committed a murder in our state on Monday. We need a senator who has the courage to say no to a HHS secretary like RFK Jr., who she voted to confirm. But we all.
Or T-minus, he's trying to goad you into throwing out another gift
on
sub.
the Supreme Court, knowing that this could overturn the right to abortion for all women in this country. She did not have the courage to do something differently. So I appreciate.
So you're not sitting on the 88.
We need a lot more right now from our senator.
Thank you. Shanna Bellows?
We're going to beat Susan Collins in November, and I am running because I'm the best candidate to win, to unite a fractured party, to bring Mainers together.
I really don't want to put her down, but
goal, and that is that the stakes are too high.
I can't stand the way she talks.
Washington, not only to hold Trump accountable, but also to stand up for our friends and neighbors that are really struggling right now. And I'm the only one who has run against Susan Collins before.
Remember when video games first got
She had all of the advantages in 2014 she has now.
spoken dialogue? That's what she sounds like.
And that has changed. And I've gotten stronger because I've been doxxed and swatted and threatened. And I still never backed
She
down.
doesn't even look real.
And she's changed too.
We really do have an NPC from an early 2000s video game.
So much more. So I'm ready to win.
Troy Jackson?
Well, Senator Collins is just a rubber stamp for the wealthy elite in this country. And that is nothing that's ever going to help the people here in Maine. I mean, we watch people lose their
Look at her. She was like recharging herself.
Roe versus Wade. So many.
I'm sure she's a lovely woman, but man, in front of a camera, she just does not have charisma.
$1 million or whatever. We've lost a lot more than that in what she's given up, and that's the point. Is that being the appropriations chair, she should have been able to stop ICE. She should have been able to stop so many of these things. And she wasn't willing to, because she'd rather go along with the Trump administration and make it harder for everyday working class people. All across the state, people are having a hard time to pay for health insurance, prescription drugs, child care, nursing homes. I mean, you name it. And Senator Collins has done nothing. Actually, when she talks about bringing money into the hospitals, how much more money did she take away from the hospitals in the big, beautiful bill? I mean, that is what the problem is she won't stand up for the average working class people.
I don't know if the Maine accent is charming or annoying.
When an ICE agent shot and killed a young Colombian immigrant who had a legal work permit,
it's not quite Canadian.
Facts. There's a lot to be determined as to what happened. You are all on record as favoring, I believe, the elimination of ICE. With Donald Trump as president,
that's just got those twinges.
Going to happen. So my question is, how would you propose to reform ICE? Jordan Wood.
Yeah, I believe that when I say we have to abolish it, what I mean is that we need a new law enforcement agency that has the trust of the people. Because if a agency which is the purpose is to protect and serve and enforce our immigration law, which I believe is deeply broken and needs to be reformed.
His nose is cherry red. He sounds like he stopped up. This man's got a cold. But also he looks like a Pixar
character. In our communities. When a member of our community who is here legally is shot trying to flee a scene, he had a 3-year-old in the car. He was not trying to run over anybody.
No, more specifically, in the animated episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia that's trying to look like a Pixar cartoon, he looks like that Charlie.
It controls our taxing and spending. It's in the Constitution. I would not approve a budget that did not reform ICE to include no longer being able to wear masks, IDs, body cameras. I mean, there should have been body cameras on these agents, but there has to be real accountability and prosecution of those that break the law.
Shannon Bellows.
I've been really struggling this week because Johan and his 3-year-old daughter were murdered in Maine streets by the government. And we say we don't know the facts. We know the facts.
And she may be sincere, but she sounds so insincere saying that.
Legally here. And you know what? It doesn't matter. Nobody deserves to get shot and killed in the streets when their 3-year-old daughter is still in her pajamas. And there are other kids and other families nearby just getting ready to work, getting ready to go.
I would sincerely hope she believes that, but it does not sound like she does.
To say is I remember when there was no ICE because I was an ACLU organizer. In 2003, it was one of my first campaigns. They said we needed ICE to replace INS. Well, I remember a day when the thugs weren't in the government and they didn't have arms.
Troy Jackson.
So
they only employed armless guys?
ICE is not law enforcement. It's a rogue agency that goes around
Carson Daly
doing things that they're being told to on high. You know, this winter, whenever they were here, we saw a lot of people here in Portland that were pulled out of their vehicles. Even one law enforcement themselves was pulled out of a vehicle. Other people at schools, churches, and things like that. And Susan told us that she had used her power to get ICE out of here. Well, now we have somebody that was actually murdered here in Biddeford under her watch.
It's amazing that accents have like a.
I mean, at 26
like this is in between like a Boston and a Canadian. And it really is like a scale of accents.
You don't have to wait. I mean, he was the wrong person. They were after the wrong person, and they shot him. We do not need that type of law enforcement. I mean, that they need to be dismantled because they give us nothing in this country but heartache and racism.
You're off, Shaw.
I am beyond furious about the murder that happened on our streets here. And that is in part because it reminds me of my own family. My parents were immigrants to this country. They came here to Chicago in the early 1970s. My mom didn't speak a word of English when she came here. And I think about how terrified she would have been had she known that the president's goons were patrolling the streets and might snatch her up. So yes, I'm absolutely furious. And Rob, you asked about how we would reform it. I don't think it's that. I don't think this agency can be reformed. The rot has gone to the core, and that's why we must abolish it. Is that going to take some time? Perhaps, but that must be our goal. What are the interim steps that we can take? Well, first thing, we have to acknowledge there's a reason why Susan Collins has not reformed it, and that's because she's been bankrolling it since the agency's inception. How might we actually put safeguards around ICE?
She likes it.
Number one, we must put appropriations riders on that ban masks from federal agents. Number two, we must require actual wearing of body cameras. The money's been there, but ICE and Susan Collins have done nothing to put them in place. And number three, we must lift the immunity that has protected them from prosecution. Now is the time to actually introduce accountability, and I will as our next senator.
Thanks very much.
So in 2018, as some of you alluded to already, Susan Collins cast a decisive vote to confirm Brett Kavanaugh as a Supreme Court justice. She's told us twice this year that she does not regret that vote. He was in the 6-3 majority in the Dobbs decision, which overturned Roe and the constitutional right to an abortion. So are three other Collins confirmed justices, Samuel Alito, John Roberts, and Neil Gorsuch. So that's where we are. Looking forward, what would you do as a U.S. Senator to restore and protect reproductive rights in the Senate, or otherwise reform the Supreme Court, which some people say is ideologically out of balance? Let's start with you, Jordan Wood.
Yeah, I'm 36-year-old. Like Graham, I am a millennial. And the deep anger
millennials represent
towards our Congress and our government in many ways is because we have watched this court strip away rights, like the right to abortion, and a politics that has not solved that problem.
The right to party.
Has campaigned in the past as being pro-choice. But what it means today to be pro-choice in the U.S. Senate is to abolish the filibuster so that we can guarantee this right for every woman in the country. There is no way for us to get there without moving past the filibuster, and that's why from day one of running for this office,
Does his pen say Dollywood?
Seen how much stuff is held up.
It can't. No way.
And we need to deliver that change and restore those rights. And I support reforming the Supreme Court, creating a circuit that would rotate the judges. I think we've got to pull it out of the partisan divide that it's been in for most of my life. But I think we need to think to Congress as the place that we restore these rights, we protect them, because we cannot rely on this court.
Shanna Bellows?
So, I mentioned a lot of
Brian Fellows.
In 2014, Planned Parenthood backed Susan Collins. And they never would today, because they understand, as all of us should, that being pro-choice doesn't mean it's up to the states. So that in some states, a woman might die for no good reason.
A woman might die. I feel sorry for how bad this woman is.
Political points because they're scared of losing their next election. So what would I do? Hell yeah, I'd expand the Supreme Court. We need to, because the same rot and corruption that we have seen because of the lack of term limits in Congress is the same corruption that we have seen with lifelong appointments to the Supreme Court. And sometimes I forget to say some of the policies that I believe in, but I believe that you, the person, should have the right to choose how you govern your own body, no matter where you live, and that's what I'll fight for.
NPC. I can't. There's no other way to describe it.
People with money being able.
I said stilted earlier.
The rest of us not being able to buy it back, and I am very tired of that. And that's something since 16, and the Maine legislature. We've been working towards.
We believe
that
in a woman's
wouldn't be able to be overruled.
Right to choose.
Providers, something that
please pick me.
Change.
So
here in Maine,
I can.
I sponsored
represent women.
One of the most.
I even think I said that with more charisma. I couldn't even.
Bills in the country.
Oh my God! Look at her blink.
We've been going the other way. I supported making sure that low-income women had access to abortion care.
She's staring out into nothing.
Get rid of the filibuster. I would definitely be willing to add more people to the court, because the way the rules are right now, we have people on there for a lifetime that are making the wrong decisions for everyday people across this country, and it's really making it hard for people to actually live in this country, and it has to change.
Nirav Shah?
In Senator Collins' 3 decades as a senator, she has been on the wrong side of some of the most defining issues that have come before her. She was on the wrong side of her vote for the war in Iraq, the Affordable Care Act, and perhaps most disastrous.
I like this guy. He's good.
She cast the deciding vote to confirm Justice Kavanaugh. There is a straight line between her casting that vote and the gutting of Roe v. Wade and the gutting of constitutional freedoms for women. It is an absolute disqualifying vote. So how would we start reforming that when I'm a U.S. Senator?
All in all, they seem to be good on policy. It's just all about which one is the most charismatic, and it's certainly not the lady on the end.
That federal law, which supersedes state law, would reinstate the right to abortion for so many women.
Loading.
We were already ready for this disaster and made sure that our laws didn't become restrictive. But in places like Texas, which did reverse that right, there has been a spike in maternal mortality and infant deaths. And that can be directly attributed to Senator Collins' vote.
Katie Britt has way more personality.
Senator Collins did vote against Obamacare at the beginning, but in 2017 she voted with John McCain, remember,
the
to
thumbs
save
down.
it. Yeah.
Exactly right.
So
this is an example of chronically bad judgment. Right? What changed between the passage of Obamacare in 2010?
The moderators are decent.
Nothing. The only thing that changed.
Millions of people were covered. That's what changed.
That was a good thing that we should have actually been enshrining. Instead, the political wind shifted. Senator Collins lost her composure and courage and decided the opposite way.
One more quick follow-up. Some of you talked about.
She gave tax cuts to the wealthiest people in this country by taking away those health care subsidies. And that's exactly what the problem is.
Exactly.
Is greed.
She's still over there doing that Twitch eye thing.
Some people talk about 13 justices. You might have mentioned term limits, but do you all favor term limits for Supreme Court justices? There's a proposal from Democratic senators and others to make it 18 years. So every president, once that got started, would get to appoint at least one justice. Do you all support that? Just quickly, Jordan?
I'm really concerned about term limits because I do not trust Republicans to follow these rules. I think they'll get their people to retire in a certain way. That's why I propose the circuit way, that it pulls the partisanship out of it. But I don't trust Republicans.
18-year term limits for the Supreme Court?
Hell yes. And you know why? If it's good enough for Maine, which we have here.
She said hell yes multiple times.
Congress. And I bet folks at home don't believe any of us that say we believe in term limits after what Susan Collins did. But I'm here to tell you, here in Maine it works.
Folks at home don't believe.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely for judges, but also for congressional members. I mean, this lifetime dealings, getting all cozy with the lobbyists and things like that.
Flo's saying if she was a GOPer, I would like her. And I don't know.
Have term limits on their judges. Even in the federal judiciary, bankruptcy judges have term limits. That should be applied across the spectrum.
You got to admit, the GOP women that I go after are, the mouthier, confident women.
Politicians love to spend money. That's why we have enormous debt problems with the federal government. Federal debt that's about $40 trillion, by far the highest it's ever been. Annual deficits of about $2 trillion. The debt is just exploding. The experts say it is not sustainable and that this is the most predictable crisis in American history. It's not going to end well. Shanna Bellows, what specific steps would...
I like their background. It's almost Troll Patrol-ish. The color.
Stop spending money on things that the billionaires and the
like my color, bluish purple.
War and trying to create urgency and panic so we fall for it and start spending money on the things that matter for folks at home. Because having served in the state Senate, I saw firsthand. You know, when I won a district that voted for Trump and voted for me in 2016, I didn't hide that I was head of the ACLU or a leader on marriage equality. But I knocked on 10,075 doors. Republicans, independents.
See, I love the ACLU. I've given to the ACLU for years.
What matters most to you?
I want to like her.
One thing that unites us is people want to keep their kids fed and make sure that everybody gets health care and fund our schools.
That seemed like a threat.
Tell us there's not enough. Well, if we ended the war in Iran, I guess we could have universal child care for all, not just in Maine, but across the country.
Troy Jackson.
Well, I've definitely been involved in doing a bunch of balanced budgets here in the Maine legislature. But if
I'm sure she's a perfectly fine person. She is just not a good public speaker, and it comes across incredibly stilted.
Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and start taxing.
Insincere.
I mean, really wealthy people, like none of us actually know the right way. I mean, this is insane. I mean, we used to have a tax rate that was fair.
I forgot about calling Josh Hawley. I'm going to have to clip that.
Now we're giving tax breaks so that they're not paying anything at all. And the rest of us are picking up the tab. That has to change. I mean, that is the fundamental problem in this country, is that wealthy, I mean, insane. Look how many billionaires that we have now in this country that are not paying any taxes. And that is really what I think would be the way to balance our budget.
Rob Shaw.
You know, Rob, every time there's a question about the deficit, it's usually quickly accompanied by this idea that there's just not enough money. And that's why we've got to worry about the deficit.
Who are we calling R2D2?
Rob, I just don't buy it. The fact of the matter is, every single time we're told there's not enough money for rural hospitals in Maine, or for Medicare for underprivileged folks, or for universal child care, we see those very same folks are doing things like Susan Collins has done, like approving $70 billion with the B dollars in spending for a rogue agency like ICE. So every time someone tells me there's not enough money, I don't think they're really serious about the deficit. I just think they're hiding behind some easy political preferences. In this case, if that $70 billion could have absolutely resurrected the rural hospital system in Maine. Instead, it was spent on a rogue agency that killed somebody on Monday. All that said, what else can we do? The war in Iran is thought to be costing $1 billion per day. What could we do for the social good with that money? To say nothing of corruption. Republicans like to talk about corruption. Democrats need to start talking about it more too, because there's a lot of savings, and that money, again, can be used for the social good.
Jordan Wood.
It's a really important question, because
Mr. Wood,
I think we really need generational change. My entire life, this is what the federal spending has looked like since the Bush-Iraq war, and both parties are part of it. And I've heard politicians say, you know, I don't want my grandkids to have to pay for this. I mean, my 18-month-old daughter is going to be paying for this. What I think we need to do is a wealth tax. I mean, we have not raised taxes on the wealthy and corporations in our country since Citizens United. And when I talk about corruption, this is what I mean, is that we have a Supreme Court and a political system that gives all the power to the wealthy and corporations, and there's a reason that their tax rates have not gone up.
Yeah, we're probably beyond a wealth tax at this point.
We need historic tax reform that makes the wealthiest pay their fair share. But I also think we need to be very serious about cutting spending. When I graduated high school,
but not like he can get up there and propose the real solution. It's time for guillotine.
Twice as good as it did when I was graduating high school. So there needs to be real reform to get a more efficient government that works for people.
All right, let me get to the second part of the broccoli question.
Tax the billionaires' heads. I like it.
Social Security is also facing a financial cliff. The trustees of the system say that it will not be able to make its payments by 2032. That would be before the end
easiest
of your
problem to
first term
fix
in the United States Senate. That means that tens of thousands of Maine.
But it takes just a little bit of money from the wealthiest.
To address the problem,
so it's never going to happen.
You raise the cap on Social Security taxes.
Raise the cap. That's it.
Taxes in general, or you reduce benefits. What specifically would you do, Troy Jackson?
Well, I'm never going to raise the retirement age. I think that's really unfair for people. But I definitely scrapping the cap, make it so that.
Yeah, we should lower the retirement age. What is it right now? 67?
Once
72?
$120,000, they don't have to pay anymore. I mean, they should be paying their fair share and making sure that people have the social safety network that Social Security provides. And that's something that, you know, I'll definitely fight for. I mean, we've seen the federal government actually help bail out pensions across.
I think if you remove the cap, it not only solves the problem, but you can lower the age a year or two.
People have worked all their lives. Get the benefit of Social Security and
Force cars, welcome in.
Scrapping the cap.
Scrap the cap.
Social Security is one of the crown jewels of our social security net, or social safety net in the United States. Of course, the original idea came from a Mainer, of course. One of the things that we have a solemn obligation to maintain is that pact that we've made with so many Americans, whether that's through Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, or the other entitlements that people rely upon. Right now, as you said, Social Security is facing insolvency. And one of the things that's really unfair is that if you are a millionaire, your input into the system, your contribution, is the same as somebody making $50,000 or $180,000 a year. So yes, we should absolutely scrap the cap so that people at every single income level are putting additional funding into the system. system. A lot of the projections that are out there say that by lifting the cap or scrapping it altogether, we could very quickly return the program to solvency. That's what we have to do. Now, I want to be clear. We have to make sure that on the other side, when those millionaires retire, we've got the funding there. And so what I think we ought to do is both lift the cap and then cap benefits so that your overall benefit when you retire isn't based on your last salary. There's a cap on it so we don't end up bankrupting the system. We can do both, lift the cap and then cap benefits for the billionaires.
Just to be clear, the cap that's in effect now is a cap that means that people who make about $180,000 don't have to pay Social Security taxes after that. It's not $50,000.
No, agreed. It's $184,000. I would lift it so that no matter what your income is, you have to pay into the Social Security. I just want to make sure.
I just wanted to clarify that. I want to move on. Jordan Wood, your answer.
Yeah, this is such an important issue, and I feel at town halls it comes up every time. You know, when we think about the big challenges that our country faces, I think about also the big things we've accomplished, and we did a great step for elderly people in poverty by creating this system, and it is a commitment that we make, and we need to maintain it. But it is another problem that, since I was young, I've been told I'm not sure Social Security is going to be there when you're an adult, when you're retiring. And that's unacceptable. We need to make it work. It's called the 2100 Act. It would eliminate the cap. But I actually think we need to think about more serious reforms that even break out a three-tier bracket. So actually the wealthiest people in this country are going to have the tax that they pay increased and lower it for the lowest income people. Because I can tell you, when I had my first job making $30,000 a year, and I was living on credit card debt because I could not afford rent, I couldn't afford food, transportation, but we were still being charged, still paying taxes into a system that we were being told it wasn't going to be there. So I think we need to look at big reforms to this. But I also think we got to increase the benefit. I think there should be a new COLA that represents the actual cost of living for seniors.
All right.
Yeah, cost of living adjustment.
There's a story that's been told for
not Coca-Cola.
And that's there's not enough money in Washington. Not enough for universal child care, not enough for universal
This poor woman.
Not enough for Social Security, it's gonna run out. And that resonates with people who grew up like Troy and I did. Because I've lived a lot of my life feeling like there's never enough or I'm never enough. I'm gonna run out. If you know what it's like, you know what I mean. And quite frankly, according to the stats, most Mainers feel that way now. And we don't need to quibble over whether it's 180,000 or 184,000, because the truth of the matter is we just saw the country's first trillionaire.
All right, I'm going to jump in because you've gone 35 seconds and you didn't give me any specifics. Give me specific steps that you would take.
Scrap the cap. And what that means is make sure the trillionaires pay the same percentage of wages as working class people.
Well, they don't actually have wages, though.
All of you have talked about certain taxes. You mentioned cutting certain spending, but I didn't hear anything specific. We know President Trump is now proposing a $1.5 trillion defense budget for the next fiscal year. Is that something you would cut? Maybe if we just went down the line, can you name one program, despite what you just said, there's enough money to go around, it's about priorities, but are there any programs that you would seek to cut spending given we have a $2 trillion a year budget deficit and a $39 trillion debt? Shanna, let's just start with you.
I would end the war in Iran right now, because every time the newspaper prints a new figure, it's shocking.
Troy Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, the war in Iran, ICE, I mean, it's all money, but the biggest thing for me is that we're not taking in the money that we should from wealthy people, and that's why we have such a big deficit.
Rav Shah, spending you would cut?
Right now, there's an amendment before Congress that would cut $3.3 billion in funding that would go in service, or that is now funding the genocide that's occurring in Gaza. Right off the top, that's $3 billion that could be spent on food for hungry kids.
And Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, I think there should be an audit of Pentagon spending, and I can tell you, having worked in Congress, that there is a lot of fraud and
drastically draw down spending on the Pentagon.
You know, I was in Congress during COVID when Congress passed
defense contractors. There's a whole slush fund of discretionary spending.
That at first seemed good, the PPP program. I mean, it reached almost $1 trillion in spending. I have never lost more faith in a spending program in this government to see how much abuse and fraud took place there. But there are decisions and votes that happen every day where if we had a Congress that was really focused on serving and representing the people, we would not waste that money because we pay for it.
Okay, we're going to shift gears again from domestic fiscal woes to foreign affairs, which is certainly something as a U.S. Senator you'll be called upon to deal with, not as a governor. And remember that race? Okay, so we were going to start with the Iran war, but I've heard you all comment.
I think it was an inside joke we didn't get as not.
So I'm going to shift gears
being
to
from
another
Maine.
conflict that's been going on since 2022, Russia's war in Ukraine. It's now in its 5th year. The U.S. has committed $195 billion to Ukraine since 2022, but nothing new in this new Trump administration. But last month, the House of Representatives passed a bill to provide new aid to Ukraine and impose new sanctions on Russia. If you were in the Senate, Nirav Shah, would you support that House bill?
I would, and that's because Ukraine is an ally, and we have to make sure that we stand up for the defense of our allies. More importantly, if we allow Putin to continue with this war unchecked, where does it end? He already started with Crimea a number of years ago. Now he has his sights set on...
See, I would be so bad at being a politician. It was like, ugh, I don't want to talk about this right now.
We have seen that throughout history.
I'm bored with that topic.
When dictators get hungry, they don't stop until they have wrecked the entire global order.
Nobody gives a shit about Russia anymore.
Be in support of that bill and be in support of additional military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine. The last thing I'll mention, one of the things that I have been quite dismayed about is the performance of Secretary Pete Hegseth, and I have not seen a word out of Senator
Whose side are we on in that?
Secretary Hegseth is, of course, rankly unqualified.
I have no idea.
But more importantly,
I don't think we're supporting Ukraine, but sometimes we are.
He's
Sometimes Zelensky is happy with Trump, sometimes he's
about
not.
the ways that AI and drone technology are going to put America at risk. So among the many things we need to do is boot him from his role and actually get a sharp Secretary of Defense in place.
Collins opposed his confirmation, though, right?
Indeed. But since then, where has been the fury?
Jordan Wood, war in Ukraine, more support from the U.S., about the same? How do you see it?
I would increase it even. I mean, I think this is one of the terrible things that Donald Trump has done as president is create so much chaos internationally. There is not certainty. Our allies no longer know if we have their back, and that's why we're seeing European countries increase their military spending. It's because they don't feel like
I'm sorry. I think my position would be like I need to wait until I'm in the Senate and see all of the intelligence on what exactly is going on
mistake and the war that we are in
before I commit to any spending position in terms of Ukraine.
Sanctions on Russia that allows them to make even more money off of their oil and natural gas. I mean, it's connected, but it all stems down to the instability around the world that Donald Trump creates, and we need certainty.
Are there clear objectives? Is it just a money sink?
And help them
to grease the wheels of the defense contractors. That was my worry at the beginning of it.
Senator Bellows.
When it comes to Ukraine versus Russia in this moment, I will always support Ukraine because
I guess I've kind of took some fence-sitting positions, and Ukraine is one of them. I mean, ostensibly, I believe Ukraine has its right to defend itself from Russia.
Wherever it is. And standing up against dictators and people who are oppressing their people, no matter who they are. And what we have seen with Trump and what Susan Collins has failed to stop is a completely unstable foreign policy. One day we're supporting Ukraine, then we're supporting Russia. One day
I would like to try something different.
Iran, then we're not, then we are, the street's open, it's not.
I would like to try being the best country that we can be here and kind of pull back from our foreign affairs and set the tone in terms of democracy and freedom, work on our freedoms here, and I feel like that will spread.
Ukraine, I mean, they are, definitely working as hard as they can to hold on.
We should kind of, for the most part, mind our own business.
They deserve our support.
Because we create issues when we try to militarily interfere for the most part.
You'd already covered it. Let me quickly ask you all about Venezuela, where President Trump deposed, some would say abducted, a dictator. He had his reasons. What's your view of that raid and whether it makes
in a world where the United States leads as a force for peace?
I am running is the stakes are so
I think
high.
Dictators and theocracies will fall.
Someone in the White House that we can't trust to take a beat, slow down, look at the facts, make an assessment, and do the right thing. And Susan Collins isn't stopping him and helping him slow down. Congress is doing nothing. So with Venezuela, we should look at the facts. It's sometimes confusing who's right and who's wrong. But what we need in Congress are strong moral compasses.
Honestly, she kind of looks like one of my
For
ex-girlfriends.
War Powers resolution to limit what
A Sunday school teacher.
right?
So forgive me. A week ago,
But she had a way better personality.
the Kennebec, and I've been running for
She was very likable.
time and came up and, just 274 votes according to the statisticians away from winning. I didn't think I was running for U.S. Senate a week later. And what I do know is that when I need to know the facts, I will. I'll do my homework, and I won't speak on something before I know what I want to say.
Okay, she wins points with me for that.
Well,
that's what I just said, basically.
Getting obviously the information, to make a good judgment on that, I think is key. I mean, we've seen Donald Trump tell us that Iran has no nuclear capabilities, and then months later go in, starting a war. If Venezuela was a problem, that
but that wasn't towards Ukraine. That was towards Iran.
That's perfectly fine.
We can't take that
but I
stance
just can't
towards
trust
other
what's going on
issues.
with him or Hegseth, because they really don't have any idea. And then getting back to Collins.
Oh God, he does look like Mr. Bean.
As the chair of appropriations, you can shut off the funding for these things and make it so that we actually do slow down and get credible intelligence.
Rob Shaw, Venezuela, there was a federal indictment against him for drug smuggling in New York. Right?
You're not going to. I am not an apologist for Maduro or the Chavez regime. I want to be really clear. They are corrupt dictators that have engaged in heinous things, kidnappings, murders. I'm not an apologist for them.
I don't know.
That does not mean Donald Trump has the unqualified right to send in a team to depose him, kidnapping, and bring him here. There are ways to go about this under international law, something that Donald Trump is not really keen on. There's a through line between Venezuela and Iran, which is Donald Trump's view.
I never saw Maduro kill anybody.
That is a complete departure from the way that the U.S. has worked with our allies, whether in NATO or in South America. Now, the question to ask is anyone in the United States safer because we committed an extrajudicial kidnapping? And the answer is no.
I would say less safe.
Restore our place in this world.
And Jordan Wood, your view of that Venezuela raid?
I opposed it since day one. I think the through line, though, is with the corruption. Before Trump was elected, he told a group of big oil executives and lobbyists that if you spend $1 billion to help me get elected,
hey James,
I will deliver for you.
It was good to see you at Walmart today.
Things like taking Maduro, which Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world, and big oil has wanted
down in South Crack-a-Lackey,
and they got what they wanted. So the corruption, to me, is the through line here, and the fact that the Trump administration could consult oil executive and lobbyists, but not Congress before taking this action, is a huge error. And we need more politicians that the morning after the Venezuela stand up and say this is wrong. The mission was successful. Of course, we all support our troops, but this is a terrible precedent to set.
Do you know who's from South Carolina? My favorite congresswoman. Nancy Mace. I'm not gonna call her. Was Michael from South Carolina? Just a little bit more news and we're gonna get the fuck out of here. It's late. I think there's a bowl of ice cream calling my name. I don't know about you guys. She usually keeps multiple types of ice cream. Last night I had butter pecan. I may go for one of the ones behind it. Who knows what my adventure may bring? I have no idea what's left.
Federal court documents are providing the first detailed look inside the van involved in last week's deadly ice.
Yeah, they're saying they were on meth.
The records allege investigators observed suspected drugs inside of the vehicle before obtaining a federal search warrant. Fox 26's Karis Belder joining us now in studio with the details. Karis.
Yeah, Caroline, Rashi, this is information we just got in about a few hours ago. So we've been digging through all of these details to give you the latest developments, the latest coming from that federal search warrant affidavit that was filed Tuesday Tuesday, so just yesterday, in U.S. District Court. The affidavit was submitted and it's seeking permission to search the van driven by Lorenzo Salgado Araujo after last week's deadly shooting. Now, according to the affidavit, ICE officers attempted to stop the van during an immigration enforcement operation on July 7th. That's when Lorenzo was originally killed. That was before the vehicle fled. The affidavit says officers later located the van again on Canal Street, where an ICE agent shot the driver, Lorenzo, who later died. The affidavit states that while looking into the van from the outside, an FBI agent observed several plastic bags containing what appeared to be a white crystal-like substance.
Bullshit. I don't
and
believe
experience. Now, the affidavit says the packaging and appearance were consistent with methamphetamine, but the document also states investigators
I don't believe it.
entered or searched the van at the time. They have also just sought this warrant as part of the investigation and its possible federal drug offenses. Now, this does not state the suspected substance had been laboratory tested or confirmed just yet. And it also
laboratory tested
are continuing to gather facts surrounding the shooting itself, including what may have caused the occupants in the van to flee. Now, Fox 26 has reached out to the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Department of Homeland Security.
Yes, it looks like plastic from
the Salgado Araujo family for a comment on these new,
like a Tide tarp or something.
We'll be sure to keep you updated.
A wad of
David's giving a lot of
packing tape.
What questions does it leave unanswered?
Well, we still don't know if Lorenzo was the
like a painting tarp.
That's something that we're trying to get answers for. We also don't necessarily know what exactly they were looking for or why.
Everything else was construction.
David, the shooting happened on the 7th. This was filed yesterday, so quite a few questions are still left unanswered here.
Yeah, definitely, and seeing what that substance was, because we don't know if it was tested for something yet.
Exactly.
All right, Karis, thank you.
And I don't trust the results. I don't trust our government to tell us the truth. Everyone saw the pictures, right? It's clearly not meth. I don't believe it. We're going back up to Maine. The ex-wife of the cop, or the ICE agent that shot the young man in Biddeford, Maine. She is speaking out about his violent past. Surprise.
David back in November brought up that he had accepted a job with ICE. I thought that it was just a delusional thing because I'm used to him talking crazy, so to speak.
Wow.
So I said, yeah, sure you are, buddy. You know, I didn't realize that he was actually working for ICE until yesterday, and I was completely shocked because I'm like, how do you keep getting into these jobs where you're around guns all the time? I asked him what was going on. He told me that I don't need to be answering questions for anybody, that all I needed to know was that it was a justified shooting and that he did do it. And he claimed that this man had tried to run him over. And I said, I don't see that in anything, and I've watched it from all angles. All I seen is how the car was going in circle after the fact. And then he's like, well, I need you to lie about my character because this is how, like, this is what it comes down to, is like my character. I don't want you talking about any of the abuse in our relationship. Like, this is literally about me, actually. I told him that I was not going to lie for him, that I've waited years to speak my truth. I've been silenced long enough, and now I need to come out with everything because a man lost his life. It was abuse, not only to me, but to our daughter. And even being divorced from him, I've dealt with harassing phone calls, threats of him wanting to kill me. I believe that this man was murdered. I believe that David's mental health played a part in what happened. I think what happened was he was standing there during that operation, had a PTSD moment and hit fight or flight mode. And unfortunately, a man lost his life due to it.
He had no business being there in the first place. She was amazed he keeps getting jobs around guns. Shit. The wife of the man who was killed gave an interview earlier. Here is a portion of it.
Was emotional. This is the first time she has spoken publicly. She was emotional as she described how his death has devastated their family.
My soul is broken. He was everything to me. He never let me worry about anything.
Johann Sebastian Guerrero was shot by ICE on Monday in Biddeford, Maine while he was driving to work. Maine Senator Angus King says Guerrero was not the target of the immigration enforcement operation that morning. His wife, Carolina, says he was a hard worker who was devoted to his family. She says he loved being a father to their 3-year-old daughter, and she says she is struggling to explain to the young girl that her father was killed.
My daughter asked for Papa, and I don't have the strength to tell her that Papa isn't coming, that she can't hug him anymore or tell him, Papi, I love you. Every night she asked for him. She always slept next to him, and now she can't.
There has been widespread anger in that community for this killing, but today the Trump administration said that vehicle stops will continue, and ICE says it will not identify the officer who fired those shots. Live in the newsroom, John Atwater, WCVB News Center 5.
Well, we know who he is because his ex outed him like the hero and patriot that she is. The latest recommendation is that you avoid produce for the next week. But as of this afternoon, we now suspect that lettuce is the culprit of the diarrhea-causing parasite.
That's making more people sick all across the country, including several cases here in Illinois. We're talking about cyclosporiasis. Investigators think they might be zeroing in on the source of this outbreak. NBC5's Randy Gyllenhaal is here with the latest. The symptoms are really nasty with us.
Yeah, and this is tough. It takes a while to kick in, and there's just not a ton of verified information, Stefan. No current recalls, no named companies you can try to avoid. Just to beware, these leafy greens, they're the one common thread. So people and restaurants are beginning to change habits. In Michigan, doctors notice the trend.
We've interviewed about
fucking love salad.
3,000 cases we have so far. Lettuce seems to be an ongoing exposure for those who've been impacted.
So lettuce might be one of the culprits. There could be more produce also causing illness too. Today, the CDC said cyclosporiasis cases could be linked across the Midwest. With new cases in Illinois as well, it causes intense and long-lasting diarrhea and can lead to dehydration, even hospitalization. At this point, no specific companies named, but again, some common threads are emerging.
So there was no location that came up in 100% of cases, but there certainly were restaurants and fast food chains that did come up.
Today, Taco Bell confirming it has voluntarily removed some ingredients like lettuce or cilantro from specific select restaurants as a precaution, but public health officials say they have not confirmed any link to Taco Bell. So with no clear answers, doctors say you monitor the symptoms. That would appear like a typical stomach bug. It lasts much longer, though. Nationwide, about 7,000 cases, no deaths yet, and it can be treated with a simple antibiotic. Stefan?
Okay, Randy Gyllenhaal, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
This is a special kind of shitting, apparently. No produce for a week. Some restaurants besides Taco Bell also changing their menu.
As a parasitic intestinal infection linked to produce spread to more of the country, the CDC is tracking cases of cyclosporiasis.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love salad, T-minus.
1 states from California to New York. Officials have been unable.
I love broccoli.
Contamination to one supplier or grower. The CDC
I love
says
spinach.
have typically been linked to fresh produce. Cyclosporiasis has not spread from person to person. Rather, it's transmitted by consuming the contaminated food or water.
With some foodborne illness, you get sick for about 24 to 48 hours, and then you get better. With this particular illness, the symptoms come and go, and they can last for weeks to up to a month.
To reduce your risk, wash your hands with soap and water.
Is it like prepackaged salad, or you just got a bunch of lettuce?
And refrigerate produce that has
deregulation, pulling back on safety standards, slashing the FDA, the CDC. It's all leading to this. What's wild is we have that tick that's spreading that makes you allergic to red meat. And now we've got salad causing you to shit your guts out. I missed this one a couple of weeks ago. I had hot dogs earlier. Thurs are made of some hot dogs. Apparently this pup went viral for his broken-hearted stare because he didn't get a hot dog. He was treated to a hot dog day at the baseball park.
You could say it was a rough night at Lone Depot Park, not because of...
Do you see him in the background? He's jealous of the other dog that got the hot dog. He's so heartbroken. That's great. It's at the Marlins baseball stadium.
Score, but because one very unlucky pup had to watch another dog live his best life. During Monday night's Miami
both of them are adorable
Texas Rangers, cameras caught one dog happily chowing down on a hot dog, and sitting just inches away, this poor pooch, 6-year-old Jonah, could only stare, not bark, not beg, just stare. The look on his sad face said, "Hey, where's mine?" The dog's owner talking to Inside Edition.
It was still pretty impressive, though, for a dog to just sit and stare at another dog eating a hot dog without stealing it.
That was a crazy video. He just stared at it. And it's funny, I was totally oblivious to that whole thing going on.
The moment quickly
he looks so heartbroken,
with fans falling in love with the disappointed dog and this very human reaction. And now he's not just a ballpark pup. He's a viral star. The clip has been shared thousands of times on social media, being reported on media outlets, even landing a spot on Inside Edition. The Marlins also felt for the heartbroken hound. The team took to social media, posting a hilarious wanted ad featuring the dog's now famous sad face and asking fans to help track him down. The reward? A dream day at Lone Depot Park. So while one dog got the hot dog, the other may end up getting the full VIP treatment, because sometimes a little jealousy can pay off.
Are you guys going to take the Marlins up on their offer to go back?
Yeah, if he gets to like chase a ball around the field, that would be cool. I don't know what they're planning.
And in this case, a sad little stare may have turned one hungry pup into South Florida's newest celebrity.
Amazing.
Deserve a hot dog, Jonah.
And then if you can have him maybe sit back. Oh, yeah, there he goes.
Yeah, I think he wants another one. That was quick.
He inhaled it.
He's so The look on his sad face said, "Hey, where's mine?" The dog's owner talking to Inside Edition.
I mean, it was still pretty impressive, though, for a dog to just sit and stare at another dog eating a hot dog.
He's such a good boy.
It was a crazy video. He just stared at it.
If you're watching on Twitch, you're heading over to Neuro Detergent.
That whole thing.
I don't get a chance to rate her very often.
Went viral.
She's amazing.
With fans falling in love with the disappointed dog and
Light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun. We're getting the sack.
Not just
I'm JustinFREAKIN.